Callers and guests are not those of the BlueBroadcastNetwork.com, Envisage Production Enterprises, DDV Media LLC, its advertisers, sponsors, or employees.
Deputy Sheriff Carlos Hernandez, Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office, Florida. End of watch April 11th. Cause of death, COVID-19. Border Patrol Agent Christopher Simpkins, Department of Homeland Security. End of watch April 12th. Cause of death, COVID-19. Police Officer David Parday, Lexington Police Department, North Carolina. End of watch 417. Cause of death, complications from a gunshot wound received in the line of duty on May 5th, 1992. He's been paralyzed below the chest since that awful day. Yesterday was the 26th anniversary of the Oklahoma City terrorist bombing of the Alfred Murrah Federal Building, and the following officers were murdered. Reserve Deputy Sheriff Michael Loudenslager, Special Agent Paul Brocksterman, Special Agent Kenneth McCullough, Senior Special Agent Paul Ice, Senior Special Agent Claude Medeiros, Assistant Special Agent in Charge Alan Witcher, Special Agent Mickey Maroney, Special Agent Donald Leonard, Special Agent Cynthia Brown. These 9 officers were murdered when those cowards, whom we shall not speak of, blew up that building, also killing an additional 160 others. We will now take a moment of silence to honor the fallen police officers, firefighters, first responders, and veterans that have given their lives in the line of duty. Welcome back to the Blue Room, guys, where we have the right to remain silent, but
that ain't happening.
That ain't happening. Josh, what was the in memoriam that we missed here? April 18th, 2003? 2013. Sean Collier, Boston Bomber. All right, first off, are you guys following us on BBN, the Blue Broadcast Network, on Facebook? If not, we're trying to transition over to there, to that platform, so that you can catch all the shows on BBN in one place. And then when one of us goes live, the alert will go out for all. So if you want to watch this show, or you want to watch Uncensored with the Real Mike the Cop or Barbara from Harlem, and the future shows that are coming, Andrew Einstein show, it can all be viewed from the same platform. So we're just trying to get everyone over to BBN, Blue Broadcast News, and
Network.
Network. Why do I?
And he's not even drunk.
Son of a bitch. All right, so I heard Christian's leaving the show for
What?
greener
Congratulations.
pastures.
Thank you, Chris.
Congratulations. Good luck on your new endeavor over at Uncensored with the Real Mike the Cop. We wish you nothing but the best. Because I wasn't made aware of your appearance on Saturday, and I thought to myself, if the Yankees are off, does Aaron Judge just go play for the Mets or the Sox?
He did kind of freestyle.
He doesn't, right? Aaron Judge, when he is not working for the Yankees, he kind of stays at home, right, and hangs out.
He plays for one team, doesn't he?
Yeah, just like the rest of us here. So I thought. Anyway, did you give him permission on that? Did this get?
No, I didn't give him permission.
This didn't go through proper channels.
It was in discussions, but I never gave him official permission. But yet somehow he showed up there between dumping wax down the kitchen sink drain.
Lovely. All right, is our guest here with us, Josh?
Hold on a second.
Josh,
Everyone's saying there's a loud echo. Is there anything we can do about that? Everyone's saying it. So before we bring our guest on.
Test 1 2 test. Chicka bam bam.
Is anybody's phone on?
How's that echo? We good? Who's listening up? Mike Freed, you still getting the echo? Oh, I see our boy.
Check.
Yeah, he's saying yes.
Our guest is in.
Check your phones. Make sure your volume's.
I know why he's getting the echo.
What is it?
He has to mute his stuff.
Oh, okay. Our guest needs to mute.
Our guest needs to mute his laptop
Yes.
and work with only his phone.
Somebody's laptop is echoing over.
There it is.
Hello, is it still there?
Echo's still.
Echo's still there?
Can our guest? Can he hear us? Can you?
All right. Well, let me introduce the guest, and then we'll get him on, and we can work on it together. Is that right? How bad is the echo? John Telesky says it's horrible. Still there. Can you get the guest on the phone? Just me? All right. How's that echo? Is it still killing us?
They're saying it's still there.
Well, that was like a minute ago. So just need someone to chime in, tell us what you hear. Very loud, very bad. No, are you talking about Holly? Very loud. Now, the booth is saying there's no echo now. No echo now. Okay. All right, cool. So let's bring the guest back on that split screen. We're good? All right. Work in progress. All right. It says it's gone.
Good to go.
All right. Okay, guys. So our guest tonight has spent his whole adult life in the service of our country. Not a lot of people can say that. U.S. Navy for 8 years, Secret Service for 6 years. Of that 6 years in the Secret Service, 3 of those years were in the Reagan White House. U.S. Marshal Service for 24 years. I want you guys to welcome to the show retired U.S. Marshal Commander Lenny DePaul. Lenny, you with us?
I'm here. Yes, thank you. Yes, thank you for that kind introduction, Tommy.
You're very welcome. There wasn't a lack of information. You're a pretty popular dude, man. I did a lot of research. I was trying to get to know as much information of the guest as possible. And as I was cruising through a lot of these sites, you come to a point where they say like your stats, marital status, net worth, and things like that. And one of them said divorced/engaged, and the answer said not yet. And I don't know if it was them or you, but I found it pretty funny.
I don't know who that was, but yeah, that's a little inaccurate, but I don't. It's pretty good. I haven't seen that yet.
So, first of all, thank you for your lifetime of service. It's an incredible resume. When I see numbers like that, it makes me think of people like George H.W., who spent his whole life, right up to his presidency, of just serving this country, and doesn't know anything else. That's pretty awesome.
That's pretty much life. I mean, the government owned me for almost 34 and a half years. 17 years old, right out of high school.
Jeez.
When I joined the Navy. So. They owned me for a long time, but I'll tell you what, I wouldn't take it or change it for anything. Learned a lot, enjoyed myself, went around the world and back, and I'm here with no holes in me, and I got to thank God for that.
well, no extra holes anyway, right?
Well, yeah, exactly.
So you're a New Yorker, right? Born and raised here in New York?
I was born in upstate New York, Utica, New York, if you know where that is.
Yeah, I sure do. I got a cabin up by Binghamton.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Not too far.
So I ended up I was in D.C. for 9 years, California, San Diego, Coronado area in the Navy, and then ended up on Long Island when I came back to New York from D.C. when I left the Secret Service. I actually lived in Brooklyn for a couple of years, Queens for a couple of years, Levittown, Long Island, moved out to Suffolk County, then I went back to Queens. So I bounced around a little bit.
Oh, that's a lot of movement, a lot of motion there. So let me ask you and we spoke a little bit yesterday, but I didn't really get into it. And anything interesting you could tell us about the Secret Service detail when you're working at the White House? I know Reagan was fairly well liked, but it was kind of hard following Carter not to be a beloved president. But interesting times there.
You know what? You got to put this into perspective. I mean, I'm from upstate New York. I was in the Navy. I come home and I was like, well, that was fun. Now what? So I ended up doing construction. My family was in the harness horse business, if you can believe that.
The what?
And
Source.
I was shoveling, you know what, for a living, going to high school, smelling like a barn. So I got back into that a little bit. I ended up down in Maryland working for a construction company. And I did some work on a guy's house who was at the Secret Service Academy. He was an instructor there, defensive tactics, actually. Danny Cecere from Brooklyn, New York. And I owe it all to him. We got in a good conversation, and he says, man, why don't you apply for a job with us? I said, what do you do? Secret Service. I said, what the hell is that? I had no idea.
I can't tell you.
Yeah, I'd have to kill you and eat your remains. So anyways, I said, I'm an uneducated military guy. He said, well, the uniform division, you don't, it's not a prerequisite for a college degree. Well, why don't you apply there? I think you'd be great for this job with your background, blah, blah, blah. So long story short, it was about a year later. I got a call from the recruiters. They said I got good news and I got bad news. This was on a Thursday afternoon. And I said, great. I said, well, what's the bad news? He said, well, let me give you the good news. The good news is you got the job if you want it. The bad news is you start Monday. I put the phone down and I said, okay, I'm good. I'll take you. So I ended up in Beltsville at the academy for a couple of weeks, then down to Glencoe, Georgia, the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center for the first time out of many in the last 34 years.
I bet.
And then I ended up at the White House for 3 years with the Uniform Division. President Reagan, let me tell you something about this guy. He had an aura about him. I don't care if it was Margaret Thatcher, Gandhi, Gorbachev back in the 80s, mid-80s. When he walked into a room, this guy glowed. I mean, he had that aura around him that everybody loved him. They all loved him. Yeah, I get it. He was an actor and he had the gift of gab, but he was. I remember one night we had a head of state that was coming to town, and I used to love working the state dinners at night because Reagan, being a Hollywood guy, he would invite all the who's who in Hollywood. Raquel Welch, Clint Eastwood. So I would put in for overtime and work the events at night. In the morning they'd come in and go to the state, the Oval Office, do their business. Then at night, state dining room was packed with celebrities. I used to love working those details. So I forgot the head of state one night that was in town, but Reagan didn't want anything to do with this guy, and I'll tell you why. I'm sitting at the back elevator from the family floor in the mansion. They come down in the kitchen area, and then he walks out into the state dining room, and the event starts, and they do their thing and whatever. So I'm sitting there. Ray Shattuck was the SAC. He was a special agent in charge of the details. So I on my ear, I hear Reagan was coming down the elevator, and Rawhide was his code name. So Rawhide's out. So elevator opens up. There's Ray Shattuck and the President of the United States. He kind of winks at me and says hello, and turns around. He takes both of his hearing aids out of his ears, and he hands them to Ray Shattuck. He looked at me and winked and walked into the state dining room.
Nice.
I watched him all night. He could have gave away the candy store. He was yelling and laughing, had a good old time with this guy, and he had no idea probably what the guy was saying. But
That's
he
great.
was just a pleasure to work. He was, he was the score of the game. Always very personable. I enjoyed the 3.5 years at the White House. Good
Well, like
time.
I said, being an actor, your main objective besides performing is to get the audience to love you, right? I mean, that's what you got to do. You can have a bad performance, but if people love you, they love you, and he was really good. He charismatic, people wanted to like him. Even the people that didn't like him wanted to like him because he had a little swagger to him,
He did. No, he absolutely did. When he traveled and, he was shot, I got there after that, but I was there he had the colon cancer at the Naval Bethesda Hospital. That I was on that detail for a couple of weeks, working midnights. And Nancy was there, his wife, and Kathy Osborne was his personal secretary. He brought in from California. Was at the White House with him for 8 years, and they were in a little room outside the recovery room, and my post was right there by an elevator that would go up and down to the morgue from the ICU unit. So, great position for me to be in, during the night. So, we got to be good friends, and then the CAT team, counter assault team, sitting on the stairwell, and everybody's got a direct line to the recovery room where he was at. And the elevator would open up, and there'd be a stretcher, and sadly a dead person in the stretcher. And I got to know the guys from the morgue.
The morgue.
And what a great detail. So, anyways, one night I see the elevator comes down, it opens up, and the guys were like, being the Navy corpsmen that they were, joking around, says, oh, you got to see what's under the sheets. I said, I'm not looking at it. It was a woman, and obviously, and they're getting into details. I said, listen, guys, thanks, but no thanks. Now, come on, you got to see. So I walk over by the elevator, and his buddy was under the sheets, and he pops up. I screamed at the counter. The CAT team comes running out of the stairwell. I'm not having good, guys. But, you got to have fun, right, Tommy?
Cop is a cop is a cop.
Exactly.
I'm really.
Typical cop humor. You would expect nothing less, right?
That's it.
Oh, that's hysterical. Right. So the Marshal Service, oldest law enforcement organization, if you will, or law enforcement force in the country. George Washington signed it into Congress, passed it into law. Washington assigned 16 marshals to the 16 different districts, and you guys are off and running. Obviously different a different time now, a different job description, but what you did there, I mean, straight out of the gate, you were there a year, and then you were in the warrants division.
Yep. Yep.
It almost sounds like, I don't know how the marshals work. Like the police department, you start in patrol, and then you work your way up until like some, maybe a plainclothes unit. And I ended up in warrants myself. Was that something that was easy to get to, or how did that go so quickly for you?
Yeah, I mean, you had to pay your dues, but yeah, back up a little bit. 1789, you're right. George Washington appointed the first 13 U.S. Marshals in the 13 colonies. The job description back then, Tommy, is pretty much what it is now, protecting the judicial, the judges and whatnot, now the U.S. attorneys, transporting federal prisoners, anybody that's in custody, in federal custody, and is remanded, is in the custody of the U.S. Marshal, the local U.S. Marshal. And there's 94 districts in this country. Every district is headed by a presidential appointed U.S. Marshal. They kind of come and go with the administration. Most of them nowadays are, former law enforcement. Or there is a prerequisite to apply for that position. But years ago, I mean, the local librarian, would raise his or her hand and say, "Okay, I'm the marshal in the district, wherever." But that's changed, thank God.
So the district here isn't the district commander here still the same guy that that Trump appointed?
No, actually, the southern and eastern districts just changed recently.
Gotcha.
Yeah, in New York, but they're starting to roll over now with the Biden administration. Mm-hmm. It's just slow. Some of these some of the U.S. the presidential appointed marshals, they stay. Luckily, the local Congress folks, they got a lot of connections and whatnot, so they convinced the current administration to keep them in office.
Keep them.
Career guys are the chief deputies. Those are the men and women that come up through the ranks, and the highest rank, is chief deputy. They run the show in the district. I was a little different, Tommy. I ended up working for our headquarters, but I was on the ground in New York and New Jersey. So I answered to Washington D.C. But back up a little bit. You're right. You got to pay your dues. I did the transporting. I was back and forth to court. I was in the witness protection program on the right side for 4 or 5 months with Mickey Featherstone and Nicky Barnes and all those wonderful people. Yeah, you probably know those names.
Sure do.
And then I ended up transporting. I had John Gotti on his last trial. I was assigned to that detail, taking him from MCC New York, the Metropolitan Correction Center, over the Brooklyn Bridge to the Brooklyn Federal Courthouse every day. So John and I and Sammy and Frankie, the three of them were on trial together. I don't want to say we became good friends, but we knew each other good.
You develop relationships, right? What was the guy in The Godfather, Frankie so-and-so, that killed himself in the bathtub? Mm-hmm. Those guys sat on him. I mean, it's a movie, but it's similar. Is that you do develop these relationships, even though the person that you're with is a cold-blooded killer. You got to kind of coexist, right? And Gotti was actually from Howard Beach. I grew up in Broad Channel, which is just one town over from where Gotti, his Ozone Park, Howard Beach area. And he was known as that, again, another charismatic, regular guy that would, kill you if you looked at him wrong. But so you kind of have to develop that relationship.
Like a gentleman.
Yeah, he sounds like a really nice guy.
They're funny as hell,
really
too,
nice guy. As a matter of fact, and you probably know the story. So his neighbor, his name was Favara, and his older son was killed when the neighbor was backing out of the driveway and hit the son. I think it wasn't John. I think it was Frank. I think his son's name was Frank. And I became friends with the son of the guy that disappeared, Scott Favara. And as a kid, he was part of like a youth community group that I was a member of. He was a little bit older, and I remember him telling me this. I was a kid, telling me the stories, but I didn't really know the whole Gotti story until I got older, 17, 18, 19, whatever. And then obviously I was a cop, and I remember hearing the stories and seeing the trial, thinking, and that family actually testified. Saying, but I've heard that story from the son who said, my dad hit Gotti's kid on the bicycle in the driveway, and then my father disappeared. It doesn't take a genius to figure out.
He went on vacation, I'm pretty sure.
Allegedly. Warrant Division, Eastern District. So the Regional Fugitive Task Force, which is interesting to me because when I worked in Bronx Warrants, and you and I spoke about some of the similar names that we have in common, friends in common, that the guys in Warrants eventually went to like they had the WOW team, which is the worst of the worst, and then they moved over to HIDTA, and a lot of these guys were deputized with the marshals, and then were part of the Regional Task Force with you guys doing that. Like, this wasn't going after a drug dealer. This wasn't going after the kid on the court. Like in Lawrence, I got a case, and it was he skipped. He didn't show up for his case for his his drug dealing on the corner. What you guys were doing was off the charts.
Yeah, I mean we didn't target deadbeat dads and turnstile jumpers. That's for sure. I mean, when we were stood up after 9/11. Actually, we were stood up in May of '02, but in post 9/11, the FBI was focusing on domestic terrorism, and rightfully so. And Congress felt it necessary that we look in our own backyard. So they mandated the U.S. Marshals to stand up permanent fugitive task forces throughout the country. So the New York, New Jersey Regional Fugitive Task Force was the flagship, or the model, if you will. And like I said, we were stood up in May of '02, but there's specific language in that mandate was to target the most dangerous violent felony fugitives across the globe. Terrorists, murderers, rapists, arsonists, gun runners, drug runners, the worst of the worst. Like you said, the wild people out there. And that's what we did. I mean, we hit the ground running in May of '02, and we were averaging anywhere, as they still are, from 100 to 110 arrests a week, just in our region alone. I mean, think about that. There's currently now 8 regional fugitive task forces throughout the country. We're on the ground in several countries as well, the most vulnerable areas where people are likely to run to, and we all know where they are. In our region alone, 100 to 110 arrests a week, and these are violent people, averaging 4 to 6, 8 prior arrests. These are pretty violent predators. So yeah, it wasn't an easy job. Thanks to the NYPD, I mean, we have 350 full-time investigators from over 90 different federal, state, and local agencies operating out of 13 offices headquartered in downtown Manhattan. We umbrellaed with us the OSADEF Task Force, Organized Crime Drug Enforcement Task Force, HIDTA, High Intensity Drug Task Force, was all umbrellaed under the Regional Fugitive Task Force. I had the pleasure of being the commander, and I'll tell you what, I'm jumping through hoops and putting fires out every day.
I bet.
Commissioner Kelly was in place. I mean, he loved us. I think we had 26 full-time detectives, 3 sergeants, and a lieutenant, just from the NYPD working out of our Manhattan office. So, very large task force. It was that force multiplier, everybody working together at the speed of the internet.
And it had been difficult for different. So you have your Secret Service guys. Well, maybe not Secret Service, but you have your marshals. You may have FBI guys involved in there. You've got other municipalities involved in there, and they all kind of work at a different. I don't want to say a different pace, but the NYPD guys do work a certain way, and the FBI does work a certain way, and the marshals work a certain way. It must have been like a logistical nightmare. On paper, it seems like a logistical nightmare, but honestly, anyone that actually was working there, that signed up for that work, loves that work. Like the hunt, like Hemingway said, right? There's no hunting like the hunting of a man. And when you do that work, I think you could figure out that guys will adhere to the program because they really love what they do. Of all the work that I've done in my career, I love the Warrant Squad. I love being handed a piece of paper and being told, go find that guy. Get that guy, bring him back. But, I was with 4 other guys that came from the same place I came from, where you're dealing with an NYPD, an FBI, a marshal, or was there a little bit of, I guess at times there had been a little bit of friction of we don't do it that way type of attitude?
You know what? No. Here's why. When you were deputized by us, you had credentials, you pretty much had the same authority that I have, jumping on airplanes, crossing state lines. Not only that, you're afforded a nice car to take home, a computer, a cell phone, overtime, all compliments of the United States government, and of course you're American taxpayers. So that in itself was great. I was a huge proponent of training. We had a training camp in Atlantic City. The Federal Air Marshals spent a whole lot of money after 9/11. They put a beautiful training camp down that we had access to. So we would take everybody to our training camps. I mean, Tommy, everybody that works warrants, whether it's in the Bronx or violent felonies, whatever, everybody's trained differently.
Yep.
And especially when guys like us, we do it for a living. I mean, not to beat our own chest, but when I couldn't do a bank robbery case. I'm not an FBI agent. Drug case. I'm not a DEA agent. But when it comes to finding human beings, I mean, we're pretty good at what we do. And factor now into the equation, the technology, the digital footprint, everybody in God knows about cellular intercepts and burner phones but we stay way ahead of the curve on that stuff. Our technical operations group, our electronic surveillance units, these guys are financial surveillance. They are way ahead of the curve, and the men and women that are downrange doing God's work, they need these people. And to have that joint task force, that force multiplier, everybody's on the same page. You got, let's say, New York State parole or even corrections. You're going after some guy and you say, hey, corrections, was this guy locked up? Who visited him in jail? Parole. Was he on parole? Yes, here's a list. Boom. You got so many leads coming at you. And again, there's a ton of leads coming in from around the world. Keep that in mind. New York City, as you know, is like a magnet. So, there was a ton of work and the caseloads were phenomenal, but it's not like you're working a case, you're sitting on trial for 6 months, and you lock somebody up, you go on to the next case, and we're not the FBI. They haven't found a microphone they haven't liked yet. And I love them. Don't get me wrong. I love everything. They can't wait to announce the arrest of. We don't give a shit.
But you're all right. You're all right, though.
Man.
So when you had to go to like corrections and things like that, did you not have access to those state and federal databases, or you had to make a phone call to a counterpart, a liaison, so to speak, and say, hey, this is what we're looking at? And because now we have a lot of problems with ICE. So, especially in New York, where Cuomo was saying to local law enforcement, you cannot cooperate with ICE. We don't want you giving them the DMV information. We don't want you to have that. You didn't run into that in your time.
Not at all. No, they were deputized and part of our task force. We had representation for pretty much every federal, state, and local agency in this area, New York and New Jersey. I had 5 offices in the state of New Jersey. So, no, I would just lean to my left or my right and say, hey, we had 9 ICE agents. We had a boss, Tommy Kilbride, former Marine, great guy. You got whatever you needed to get somebody locked up. I mean, back in those days, too, with these, illegal aliens, which I guess you can't use that word anymore, but I will.
Undocumented immigrants.
Yeah.
Undocumented American citizens. That's what they call them now.
Who can vote. Yeah, great.
Oh boy!
I got jammed up for allegedly, hypothetically.
Oh, wait, before you get into that, we haven't even done an introduction here, Lenny. I'm sorry. I know it's been you and I for the most part, but Josh is sitting to my left.
Mostly Tommy, wasn't it?
Holly is to Josh's left, and Christian to my right. I don't know if you can see them, but we just jumped right into it.
There you are.
Yeah, I allegedly got jammed up for telling somebody that they were an alien from Mars. They had it on video. They filed that complaint saying that I called them an illegal alien. And we all watched the video at IAB, and I was like, oh, okay, well, I didn't call them an illegal alien. I said that they were an alien from Mars. I mean, I guess by proxy that would make them illegal. And they still upheld it.
Well, that's it. I think we're going to remove the word alien because it's a negative connotation. And you're going to say either, illegal immigrant or undocumented this or whatever it is, But you guys weren't doing that anyway. You weren't chasing, undocumented immigrants. That's not what the Marshal Service did. That's not what certainly the Regional Task Force did.
No.
No, but I'm old school, as you guys know. So, I mean, when I started in the Warrant Squad, we never wore vests. I mean, we'd go out on a, knowing that a guy that just committed a homicide or a triple homicide, whatever, we wouldn't wear vests. I mean, and then it would be me and my partner years ago. So we lived in that gray area, obviously, and I'd show up at a house with me and my partner. He'd cover the back. I'd knock on the front door. He would say, "Come in." So, I mean, that's how we made entry. It was a different world back then.
Yeah.
I mean, today's I hold my breath every time I turn on the news. I keep my finger on the pulse with the folks in New York. The current commander, great guy, Eddie McMahon, and I can't. It gets in your blood. I mean, when you chase human beings, you said it earlier with Hemingway. There is no hunting like the hunting of man.
Yeah.
Those who've hunted armed men long enough and liked it never cared to do anything else thereafter. I mean, that's true. It gets in your blood. Human instincts turn into animal instincts. These people will do whatever they need to do to elude capture. And when you zero in on somebody, that noose is tightening, and dark 30, you're knocking on a door knowing that person on the other side of that door doesn't want to go to jail. They'd rather kill you than do that. And if you don't think that, you better get another job because I can't tell you the sad amount of shootings and things we've confronted over the years. But you know what? It was a different, like I said, it was a different climate back then. Got a little respect in some of the boroughs, some we didn't. And then we did what we had to do. So,
but it was great that you guys could actually do that. You know, you were. It was a very specific. It wasn't even a specific. Like it was that job. And
right.
you know, it wasn't, you know, if you got bounced out of it, you went and did something else. This is what we did. This is what we love to do. This is what we're really fucking good at. Like, let me do what I'm really good at. Because when I'm really good at it, I'm going to be effective, and we're going to get some good work done. And there's something to be said about that when, you know, as opposed to a police officer that is working someplace. And when I say police officer, I mean law enforcement. So it doesn't really matter where you work, if you're a street cop or any other sort of law enforcement position. When you're forced to work in a place where you're not really happy versus,
right.
you know, where you worked, no one was there that didn't really want to be there, right? And in a position that you were in, you knew you don't like what we're doing. You're not part of the team, you're out. You go someplace else because I got a fucking list of people this thick waiting to come in and do this every day. And that's exciting.
Yeah.
That's, yeah. Well, I remember when I was, I don't even know when it was before I went to Warrants. I was still in.
Is this a Bronx
Yeah,
story?
it was a Bronx story. I was still an anti-crime cop.
Boy.
I was an anti-crime cop,
The
and
year was
we did. You know, the year was 90. I bet
1987.
95, 90, probably 96, 97. And it was a like a Friday or Saturday night in the middle of the summer. It was midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, and my friends were all like, "Hey, we're going out to wherever we're going." You know, we were young, we were drinking, we were doing everything. So I said, "I can't go out. I'm working tonight," and I was doing a search warrant. It was one of my warrants, and it was like 1 o'clock in the morning, and we hadn't gone in yet. And I picked up the phone and I called my buddy, and he said, "Hey, what's up?" I said, he said, "What are you doing?" He said, "Oh, we're in the bar so-and-so." And he says, "What are you doing?" And I swear to God, I said, "I'm about to kick a door in and step on someone's neck, and I'm having more fun than you'll ever have in your life." And like hung the phone up. And, you know, the guys give me a hard time about that all the time, but that was what I really enjoyed doing. And obviously you did too.
That adrenaline rush is, there's nothing like it. I mean, you've done it, I've done it. It's just, I don't care how old you are, how many years you've been doing it. That pucker factor,
Yeah.
it's every morning, you know, the element of surprise. But, you know, you're right. I mean, the men and women that have done this, especially part of our task force, they love being there. It's a great job. The camaraderie is phenomenal, and they are very good at what they do. I mean, you know, we always say you can run, but you can't hide. And when you run, you only go to jail tired. So we usually catch up to these fugitives. If it takes us a day or 10 years, the warrant never goes away, right?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Not yet, anyway. But they're working on that, though.
Mm-hmm.
We had a caller that we lost. We're gonna have him call back. What do you miss most?
I you know, of course, I'm going to say the obvious about the men and women I worked with every day, the camaraderie, and you're going to laugh at this, or maybe you won't. You know, I go back to the era of pagers and beepers, and the first cell phone we had was the size of a brick and whatnot. But fast forward, when I retired a few years ago, I missed the 2 o'clock in the morning phone calls, the text messages. You know, we're on this guy's.
All right, Lenny, I'm sorry to interrupt you. The call is back on, and I want to bring him in quickly. Caller, if you're with us, I don't know what level of identity you want to display here, but obviously, Lenny, we brought the caller in because he has worked with you in the task force. So, caller, what do you got?
I'll be identified just as a friend named Rodney.
There he is. Jesus.
And
How's that leg, Rodney? Let's start with the ankle.
I'm doing good, man. I appreciate it, man. Listen, first and foremost, man, I want to thank you for reaching out. You know, Lenny's been retired for some time, and Lenny was the, task force commander, of course. And he's seen his share of guys getting injured and always had to, unfortunately, be the one to share the news with the family members and the rest of the troops. So when Lenny found out, Lenny reached out, as always, to check on the guys. And listen, the task force may be a contingent of different agencies throughout New York State and the federal agencies, but we're all a big family. And Lenny was one of the guys that I met originally when I came in, and the old timers from my agency that worked with Lenny, pounding the pavement at all hours of the street, like he just told you, sometime with no vest, going after the worst guys that the nation knows or the world knows. Those guys introduced me to Lenny, and eventually Lenny and I worked side by side. He was our supervisor, he was our commander, but it was a side-by-side working relationship. Lenny never let you believe that you were less than what he was in the task force. You know, the title was what it was, but he was one of the guys that worked with us on the street every day. Good
So
man.
Lenny, I work with Rodney in the Bronx, and when we knew you were going to be on, I said, oh, you know what, I'd love to have a caller, and Dougie being a sergeant might be a little different. I really wanted a detective that worked under as opposed to with. And I don't mean that as a negative, Dougie being a supervisor, who, by the way, is retiring after 49 years on the job. Whatever he's got is finally going to hang up his cuffs. God bless him.
Yeah.
And that was the first name. I called Patty Moynihan. I said, dude, you got to get me Rodney's number. I don't have it. And Rodney, we saw each other at the football game, the Lem game, which was a great event. And yeah, that was like one of the first names I thought of, to knowing that you had to have worked together. You've had to have.
You know what? You asked me a couple of minutes ago what I miss about the job. Well, that guy, Rodney, you still with us?
Yes, sir.
You talk about a dedicated warrior, Tommy. You talk about a guy that answered his phone in the wee hours of the morning. I'd go through any door after any fugitive. I don't care who the hell's on the other side with this guy. Rodney was arguably our best fugitive and manhunter that we had on this task force. And when I heard about the shooting and what happened recently, and Rodney and what he did, and carried a fellow brother down the stairs, I believe, that was shot, and he falls, it breaks his ankle, I believe, and I was like, I'll tell you what, that's Rodney, man. I'm so that he was on the scene and could take care of business. But what a not only a gentleman, what a warrior you got on the phone with you tonight, Tommy.
No second thoughts, right? Guys like him.
Oh my God.
Dude, guys like him, guys like Spike, Danny
Oh,
Rivera,
yeah,
dude, not even a
That's
thought,
right.
not even a thought. It's like, oh, we're here, we're working, doesn't matter. And we've actually had this conversation earlier about law enforcement and the direction it's going in. And 10 years ago, if you were told, hey, if you go in that door, you're going to die, or if you go in that door, there's a really good chance you're going to. Most of us, you don't think twice, and Rodney's one of them. And Rodney and I didn't work on a team together, but when they were in VFS, in that little front office there in the office, there were guys. So when I got to the 4-6, you got there and you saw the crime guys, right? You saw the guys like Mike Elliott and John Kirby and so many other guys, Bobby Henry. I can't even name them all. That you said, oh, that's the cop I want to be. And then when we got to warrants, we watched that front office, right? And we're like, those are the guys, Danny Rivera, Gordy Brown, Rodney. Those are the guys we wanted to be like when we got to that office.
Yep.
Yeah, you're right. 100%, man. Listen, Lenny and you both named some guys there. Spike, if it wasn't for guys like him, that I was a transit cop originally, and
sorry to hear that.
he took me. Yeah.
That's why Dougie loves you so much.
Yeah, absolutely, man. For years, well, like him and Archie Austin, and Rudy Gatson, these guys, man, great guys, man. These guys, Rob Rodriguez.
Sure, Rob.
And we can't forget the late, great first grade detective Furman Sonny Archer, man. So
Hey, Archer, there you go. Yeah.
these guys, man. I'm just one of many guys from our agency and many other agencies that were, great investigators that, answered the call at any hour, any day.
Sure.
To go and get the job done, man, to see it through, man. The public, I think, is realizing right now, well, with the things that you do see in the city, going on with the rise in crime. How when we were out there and doing what we were doing, and crime, began to decrease in the city of New York, everyone was wondering how it was being done. And you got to thank the Warren investigators and the detective squad investigators that put these cases together, and these fugitives to be sought and then brought to justice and then incarcerated. So I'm praying for all the safety of all the guys that are still doing it, and of course when you live in the city, you're praying for safety for you and your family and friends. So I'm pretty sure these guys, the department, to get it back on track. And it's good that we have these conversations with your podcast from someone that's actually have done the work in all aspects of it.
Absolutely.
And then the fact that you still support the guys that are on the job by coming to all the events and donating your time and donating your funds, man, because that's important.
Well, you got to do it because no one else is gonna. Honestly, the politicians aren't on our side. Like Lenny, we talked earlier. The politicians aren't on your side. The mayors aren't on your side. Your commissioners. If we don't support it and remind people, hey, remember the '80s? Remember the '90s? Well, here are guys that are responsible for the 2000s. Here are guys that are responsible for turning the '80s and the '90s into the 2000s. Where it was a really nice place to be, and now it's going to go back, and then that pendulum's going to swing. What it's going to take to get back? Yeah,
we hope.
Honestly,
we hope
to find a politician that would be able to do that, and the conversation often turns to Giuliani, and and Rodney, you can attest to this. I'm sure you see the comments in social media where everyone complains about the numbers. Oh, remember the 0%? Remember the 0%? And I'm a strong advocate of this, and I was a strong advocate of it then. I'll take a 0% raise over 3 years over to have the support of the mayor and the commissioner. And right now, if you talk to any cop here in New York City and you said hey, you have a choice. You got full support of us and we got you, or you want a 3% raise. And if you say you want a 3% raise, you probably should leave this job. Right? You shouldn't be doing this job because half of this job is being able to do it without worrying about getting your CCRBs made public. Half of it is about not being having the support of your mayor and your commissioner. You can keep that 3%. I'll make that back in 5 years from now. I'm not worried about that. But they've kind of lost their way, unfortunately. And to be able to have these conversations with guys like you are important. For the younger guys that are listening to this show, that say, wow, that's how it was then? Yeah, that's how it was then.
I'm a strong advocate of this. And if you say you want a 3% raise,
I'm telling you, man. Listen, we'll get. I'm praying that they turn it around. We got some decent guys in there.
Sure.
Our friend is in a good position, so hopefully this thing will get turned around soon, man.
I hope so. And he's in a great position, and his boss is aces. I mean, I tell you, man, I cannot say enough about that man. Chief of Department Rodney Harrison is as legit. Last year during the riots that were going on in the summertime, I actually saw a video of him
peaceful protest
in the
Tommy.
4-6
Peaceful
on the Grand
Tommy.
Concourse tackling. He was chief of detectives. He was in uniform tackling people down. This guy bleeds blue. Dude, no joke. And he's a big cigar smoker. But he's...
Well, and of course he's a gentleman.
Honestly, I can't say enough really great things about him. And Rodney, you know him. And our friend wouldn't work for someone that he didn't get behind 100%. And I hope that he can make the change that we need to turn this around a little bit,
Absolutely.
It takes one person, guys. That's it, man. The hierarchy needs to be on board Team USA to get anything done. We all know that. And I was a big proponent of like Rodney said, I felt like I was one of the guys, even though some of them didn't like it when I showed up on the streets, but that was fine because I jumped in with 2 feet and loved every minute of it. And it's guys like Rodney and his partner Danny Podacek. I mean, that you talk about take a full house to beat that pair. I mean, these two guys were nonstop, and a case would come across my desk, and well, who's working this day? It's Rodney and Danny, and I would like move on to the next case. That guy's done.
Good, man. I'm glad to hear that.
Camaraderie. all starts at the top. They told me, remember him going up the ladder because you're going to meet him on the way back down.
Absolutely.
yeah.
You're going to hit him when you're falling down that ladder. It's
yeah.
it's good stuff. Hey, Rodney, thank you so much for calling in, man.
No
I
problem,
dude,
guys. Hey, listen, man.
this was dynamite,
Guys,
man.
Keep doing what you're doing. You and your family stay safe, healthy, and successful, man, all right?
Love you, brother. Thank you.
so
Good to hear your
much.
voice.
You too.
Brother, be safe.
Stay healthy.
Yeah, so I thought that was a good choice. Right, Lenny?
Oh, my God. There isn't anyone better. I mean, Rodney Wall,
dude, no joke, right? I mean,
Oh, my God.
from my
House.
job, I couldn't have picked and it was the first
Yeah.
name. I couldn't have asked for a better guy to call in because I knew he had to have been connected with you, and I know him personally, and yeah, awesome stuff.
He's great. He mentioned names, Sonny Archer, God rest his soul. What a warrior that guy was, and Spike and Rodriguez. I mean, you guys put out arguably the best fugitive guys in the world. I mean, you got to think about this. We're sitting in a city that just doesn't sleep, as the song says. But I'll tell you what, man. Thank God for guys like him and others, and women too. You know what? They saved my ass many a times.
And thank God they were able to move along. Rob Rodriguez is a friend of mine, and another street warrior. A couple shootings under his belt. Guy that you could pick up the phone and say, "Hey, I need this. What do you got?" Dynamite. It's a shame that they're retiring because honestly, to find people to replace that type of worker is going to be a fucking challenge, right? It's going to be a challenge.
It's terrible because we grew up under a different mindset. I mean, our vision, is forward thinkers and. But then again, it was a completely different climate. They didn't have I remember when the cell phones first came out and they started taking pictures. I'd run up to somebody in vulnerable areas, if you will, and I would say, "Hey, man, thanks for that tip. You guys did a great job." Cut off seconds, right? So, but you know what? It's tough out there. I don't envy any. I don't want to say that because you know what? Only the strong survive, and these guys got to hang in there because it's going to turn around. It's got to.
So
we got to select few out there in high places that are calling the shots, and sadly the media jumps all over it. But it's not the percentages are on our side, and it's got to turn around.
How many years till it turns around, Lenny? I mean, asking for maybe me. I mean, I feel like it's going to be a generation. I feel like the 18 to 25 is what's driving this nonsense now. Especially when it comes to the defund the police and anything that's socialist leaning. It's that 18 to 25 generation, and I don't think me personally. I'm curious to see what you think on it. I don't feel like we see a change till that generation is personally affected, and I don't think that happens till they're 30 to 40. When they start seeing all of a sudden their tax dollars, that they're paying tens of thousands of tax dollars for programs that they're never even going to use, and their money's disappearing, and all of a sudden they get it like, oh, well, wait a minute, hold on, wait, this is where's all my money going? And there's this saying, I think it was Thatcher. I'm not 100% sure, but there's a saying that's out there that if you are not socialist in your 20s, then you have no heart. If you're not capitalist in your 30s, then you have no brain. And I think, unfortunately, I feel like for this generation of cop, I don't think you see it turn around for at least another 10 to 15 years. Like fully turn around, fully get back to where, cops are able to do their job, supported by the politicians above them, supported by the community, openly supported by the community. Because again, let's be real, the majority of the community that's out there still supports police. They're just afraid to. They're afraid to publicly.
And John, I'll tell you not to interrupt you, John, and I get it and I understand it, and it's a longer conversation, and I'm with you on everything you're saying, but it all depends on who's in the driver's seat. Look at Rudy. It didn't take Rudy long to straighten the city out and stop the frisk, everything he did, and people not only jumped on board, with him. He brought a lot of great people, along, and they were the younger generation. I mean, I was young. I mean, but I think it all depends on who's at the helm. And if they're appreciated, if they're looked up to, and they're doing the right thing. And you're right. There is a huge percentage of people that support the police, obviously. Come on, people. I mean, defund the police, are you kidding?
Yeah,
they're just getting way too much attention, and that's what's killing us right now. But
what
10 years...
But what really disturbs me is that not only New York City, the mayor of New York City, but other mayors from other major cities are following suit. And yet, even at the federal level, we got people like Maxine Waters, AOC. You got people like Nancy Pelosi. It's like,
why do you got to bring us down, guy? We're having a good time here.
I find that very itchy,
Itchy, that's the word you're going to use?
Well, that's my word.
He's very itchy.
He's very itchy.
They sell cream for that, Christian.
That's a different podcast, Christian.
They sell cream for that.
I mean, but...
Chris, think about the states that you're talking about, though. I mean, they've been around since Christ was a corporal. I mean, these, New York, California, I mean, these people... they're not going away. Like I said, the fish stinks from the head. We got to start at the top, and whether it's the White House and whatever. I mean, I hate talking politics because it is what it is, and I've seen it change. I lived through Clinton, I lived through Obama, I lived through all of them. But
wow,
politicians are they're there. Look at Maxine Waters. What the hell was that all about the other night?
I don't want to look at her.
She's talking about. Fuel to the fire.
Even Biden today. Biden with his statement today, and I know he tried to cite multiple times in his 3-minute rant that the jury had already been sequestered, so he's confident saying he essentially just said that Chauvin was guilty. I mean, again, listen, we'll get to it later, and I'm not going to steal Tom. I feel Tommy's glare on the side of my head. I apologize. But that's not his place. That's not his place. We know the process was the process. It did what it did. And that is what it is. I mean, it doesn't get any simpler than that. But but his comments, and especially Maxine Waters' comments, more so than the president's. I mean, the president's is out of place only because of his position. Her comments were out of place because they're they're inflammatory. I mean, it's when you're these civilian jurors, and I don't care what the facts are. I don't care what the testimony is. You're sitting in that room and you're like, yo, listen, I'm going to tell you something right now. We walk back out there with a not guilty. They're burning this building down with us inside of it.
Oh, God.
And you can't tell me that conveison didn't. Tommy, 100%. I apologize. Tommy's just glaring at me. All right, Tommy.
I'm not glaring. I want to get back to what Lenny is doing. I want to get back to what Lenny's doing, what Lenny has done. Some of the...
Sorry, Tommy. Can I interrupt you? Am I allowed to do that? Or
you can do whatever you want. You're the guest. You're in charge.
Please do.
It's you, then me, and then Christian. That's the order.
Please interrupt.
I want to know what was your...
I was kidding. Christian, I was kidding.
No. I know. But I want to know is, Lenny, what was your most intensive moment during your career at the U.S. Marshals?
My most intense moment?
Yeah, like...
sitting in traffic, driving to Long Island, and
Yup.
No, when it comes to chasing the terrorists or high-profile
he answered your question. You drive in Long Island. I swear to God, what is it with Long Island?
Long Island Expressway, we call it. It's
honest to God, I feel like when you're driving on Long Island, like if I feel like I drive 5 minutes more, I'm gonna hit the west coast of France. Like it is absolutely ridiculous that
you'd have to cross a body of water to do that.
No disrespect.
Cars don't drive on
the Atlantic Ocean.
No disrespect to the Long Island people. I apologize.
Sorry, Tommy.
We call them lids.
To go to college, I was in the military.
We call them
so
lids.
I'm not that smart. That's
You're
why
very
I'm
smart.
Laughing.
Very smart.
At Josh because
he spilled his drink all over you. I saw that.
No, he actually threw his drink.
I saw that
all over me.
Yeah, that was an accident.
Bourbon.
So Lenny retires 2013, and as interesting as your career was before then, I've seen episodes of the many shows that you've done on A&E. You had the Manhunters Fugitive Task Force, which was I don't know if you guys saw it. It was reality TV. It was like the show Cops, where we're out here on the street with the cops. They were out here on the streets with the regional task force hunting the baddest dudes on the face. There was like 63 or 64 episodes of you guys going out there and showing the investigation and actually locking up some of the baddest guys on the face of the planet. Which for me, because of my background, I was like, this is pretty intense. No, I didn't work in the Bronx, Josh.
Wait,
asshole.
Tommy, what's your background?
I have no background. Okay. My background is this.
Okay.
With the flag behind me.
Just
which can be seen on A&E Network. But that didn't stop. The Hunting Hitler series. FBI declassifies some Hitler information, and you guys say, hey, let's try and figure out what really happened to this guy. And we won't really get into the episodes because I don't want to spoil it for anyone. All I can tell you is that Hitler died, and then you guys can watch the episodes on History Channel.
History Channel?
History Channel, yeah, History Channel. All right. And then CBS had a show called Hunted. So on Hunted, they had teams of investigators. They had, I think, 18 contestants in teams of 2, so 9 teams, and they spent the season having to spend 28 days off the grid somewhere, hidden. And these investigators their job was to then find them. These little pods of investigators, by poring through phone records and Facebook posts and co-defendants, if you will, even though they weren't arrested, to figure out and then chase down these groups and actually quote unquote apprehend them.
Right.
Which is all right in your wheelhouse. Which honestly, you wouldn't do a show that you didn't feel like I said. You do what you know. You do what you love, and they couldn't have had a better person for any of these shows.
All of them, they were epic.
To do
epic.
exactly what you were doing.
Wow.
That must have been exciting, right? Doing the same work, but without all that crazy. I mean, Manhunter, obviously, you were still working, and anytime you kick a door in, there could be someone on the other side with a fucking 12 gauge. Mm-hmm. But the other stuff, like investigating, how rewarding was that? Those shows.
Here's the best part about it, Tommy. I can yell "cut" in the middle of a shootout with these shows. I mean, that was the best. I mean, you're right. I stayed in my swim lane. I think every show I've done has got the word "hunt" or "hunted" in it. Manhunters, Hunted, Hunting Hitler. I'm actually doing 2 shows now, but they don't have the word "hunt" in it.
America's Most Wanted. That's
AMW. I do America's Most Wanted overtime with Nancy Grace.
Yeah, it doesn't have the word hunting, but everyone knows that they hear that term. They know exactly what you're doing. You're hunting motherfuckers because that's what you do.
Right. Yeah. In fact, the Marshal Service just grabbed from a tip from AMW yesterday. This guy Maurice Nesbitt, 6'3", I think, 250 pounds. He puts a bullet in the back of his ex-girlfriend's head, who stands 4'11", 100 pounds soaking wet.
She probably deserves it.
Bedroom, smokes a Marlboro cigarette with her, and then shoots her in cold blood, and then takes off. Was on the run for 3 years. He just got locked up in Alabama yesterday by the U.S. Marshals.
Oh, wow.
Outstanding.
I'm hoping he gets picked up for another season. We just did the last episode.
That's on Fox Nation?
That's on Fox. Well, AMW's on Fox, and I'm on Fox Nation with Nancy Grace. That drops at 10 o'clock right after the show, and we're on for an hour talking about highlighted cases. So, yeah, and I'm doing a show with Judge Janine Pirro, who's a riot to work with.
She's a piece of work.
Show called Can You Solve It, which is also a Fox Nation show that premieres next month. So, but yeah, I stay in my swim lane. I mean, it's I can't sing or dance, Tommy, but as far as hunting people, I got pretty good at it.
Lenny, you're a white guy. You can't dance. All right, you might be able to sing, but you can't.
No, that was the stereotypes, Tom.
You don't know how he identifies. Take that back.
I can guarantee you, Lenny can't dance.
I dance and I can't do anything. No, forget that. No way.
So what about that?
I'm getting a little jealous. I keep seeing clouds of smoke going across my screen.
Yeah, you're going to get a package in the mail. Don't you worry. So you wear.
Anyways, I'm going to go back real quick. I mean, with respect to what he was saying, Josh, and all this craziness going on, it's follow the leader. I mean, you're burning down buildings. They're going crazy out there. It's nuts. And I remember back in the 90s, I deployed to the Rodney King riots, if you remember that.
Yeah, I don't remember that. Christian wasn't born yet, but I certainly remember
I've
it.
seen on YouTube the documentaries and the videos.
I'll give you an example. Rodney King, Bush at the time wanted 200 federal agents to get out there to assist. So we did. We jumped on it. Actually, it was a New York Yankee chartered airplane. We couldn't find anything else to get us out there. So they flew us out there. We get on the ground out there, and, martial law is in effect. The National Guard was there, and it was total chaos. I mean, you remember the whole Rodney King thing and Reginald Denny and how they put him out of the 18-wheeler. In fact, my first night, I'm on that actual street corner where Reginald Denny was pulled out of that 18-wheeler. But anyhow, gunshots all night long. So one night, I'm riding in a patrol car because the LAPD said, "Here, guys, take our marked units. You can have them. We'll be in these undercover cars." So yeah, thanks.
Put this target on your back.
Oh God, really? Didn't they give you an unmarked vehicle, like undercover?
Apparently not, Christian. He just said they got the marked cars.
Damn.
I'm in a marked car one night, 2:00 in the morning, and I see this elderly black guy walking out of a store with an 18 or 30 inch or whatever big it was television in the box on his shoulder, and I'm like, oh Christ, here we go. So now I pull over, I get out of the car, and older guy, and I yell to him, I go, "Hey!" He turns around, I said, "Where'd you get that TV?" He said, "What TV?"
Oh God.
Box on his shoulder, and immediately, of course, I got to laugh. Right? So I'm like, listen. So we lock him up, and we were printing and processing in trailers. There were so many arrests being made. So I'm sitting in the trailer. This guy had me laughing the entire time I'm printing him. He was the funniest guy I ever met. So I'm printing him. I'm rolling his fingers, and I turn around to him. I forget his name, and I looked at him, and I said, "Let me ask you a question." He said, "Yeah, what's that?" I said, "What do you think of this whole Rodney King thing?" You know what he said to me? "Who Rodney King?" No idea.
Yep.
No idea who Rodney King is.
Right.
Does he make TVs?
Yep.
Does he make VCRs?
So true.
It's beyond true.
I'll never forget it. You know what?
That's
That hit home. It's like,
hysterical.
follow the leader, man. That's what they're doing.
I mean, the same thing with
Hashtag
George Floyd. People don't know.
opportunity.
Many people don't know. Who's George Floyd?
You see a lot of these protesters that are marching around now, and you pull any of them aside and ask them why they're there, and they can't articulate it. They have no clue. And the difference again between then and now, you say you arrested that guy for taking the TV, and you listen to Citywide now, they're not taking collars. I mean, they're not. It's clear as day. And these units that are following these protests, they're calling out addresses of businesses that are having windows broken and shit done to their buildings, and just saying, send a precinct unit to take 61. We're keep going. They're not taking collars, and that is where this is deteriorating. And it gets back to before, like how do we get that back when we are to a point as a profession that we're witnessing crime and we're not affecting arrests for that? How do we?
Well, the DA is basically saying you can make that arrest, and we're not going. It's happening in New Orleans now, where they're saying you can make the arrest, but we're not going to prosecute it. So you say to the police department, "Why are you making that arrest?" And the answer is because that's my job. Right. It's a penal law offense. We're going to affect that arrest.
Even the marches that are in the street, like, oh yeah, you hear them again. You hear them on Citywide, orderly in the street. No, well, if they're in the street blocking traffic, they're not orderly. Lock them up.
When your friend's working a 16-hour shift in Brooklyn, you don't hear a peep on the news. They had just tried to burn down the Barclays Center again 3 nights ago. I mean, it's not sexy to report on that, is it?
No.
At some point in time, I don't know when or where or how it comes, but we have to reach that threshold where enough is enough. They had the flyer floating around before the verdict today. Sorry,
they're going to meet at Barclays, yeah.
Yeah, where they're going to meet at Barclays, and they're saying was conviction or no conviction, abolition is the mission. Like they're basically telling
Charming.
you Yeah, they're basically telling you they don't give a care. Like this is we're gonna burn shit down, no matter what. So now, as law enforcement, how much do we tolerate until it's just
We're
like
living in a lawless climate, and it's because these leaders are allowing it. You just said it. I mean, what kind of a message is being sent to the, John Q. Citizen that, hey, burn a building down, take as many sneakers as you can fit in your bag, and no one's going to bother you. I'd be out there myself if I was that type of.
But it's not that they're allowing it; they're actually encouraging it. They want to. There are certain politicians and certain groups that hate this country and will just push their false narrative to make it look worse than it is. Listen, is it perfect? No. Is there racial issues in this country? Of course. You would have to be ignorant to say otherwise. But is it a systemic problem? Is it a mass problem?
Are we worse now than we were pre-civil rights era?
Are we worse now?
Are we worse now than we were pre-civil rights era?
I don't think so. I mean,
then what the fuck are we doing?
Because pre-civil rights, you couldn't vote.
End of discussion.
Yeah,
what the
but it could always be better. But
I apologize.
The tact,
We're after 9. I can curse.
But the tact that you take to make that change is they're a little off. They want more change, and I get that. And I say they. I don't say they as in any specific group. The country in general says, "Hey, we need to continue working on this." But the way working on it is not like burning down buildings.
But there's more human slaves in the world right now than there ever was in history.
Libya is one of them.
In the United States of America and all the countries, right? There's pedophilia that's rampant. More than ever. Why is this not a conversation? Why is there never any conversation about the freaks that are looking to...
There are 167 countries. 167 countries that still have legalized slavery. India
That's
being
true.
India
but
being
this
the
isn't
leader.
a slavery issue. The conversation that we're having is not a slavery issue.
Nevertheless, it's a much bigger, it's a much larger
But it's not here.
because nothing
It's
is
not here.
based on fact.
So what's going on now is about what's happening here. The people that live here don't care about what's happening in Libya.
Well, that's
they
true.
don't care what's happening in
That's
Chad.
true what Tommy says.
They don't
though.
care.
But let's just talk about
So
the
what-
United States of America.
No, so right
Human
here.
trafficking, border crisis,
Again.
Right.
voter fraud.
All right.
Precisely.
Everyone take a step
Okay,
back.
okay,
Take a step
Tommy,
back.
okay, sorry,
Take a step back.
Okay, Tommy.
Take a step
Oh,
back.
boy.
All right.
Did you just shush me?
I didn't shush you. What I do want to talk about is that shirt that our guest is wearing.
Yes.
Zero Dark 30.
Yes.
Lenny.
Yes.
Lenny. Forget about all this craziness. Let's get back to happy talk. Zero Dark 30. Okay? Zero Dark 30. What is Zero Dark 30? Why are you wearing that shirt?
Here's why I'm wearing the shirt.
Oh, it's actually
this
O
is-
Dark 30. I'm sorry, not zero. O Dark 30. O Dark 30.
Yeah, you're right, but the reason I'm wearing this is because I had 350 people working for me, and I never saw racism. I never saw color. We never. Oh, I'm sorry. We're off that conversation, Tommy. No.
Well, you have to ask
You're
Tommy
the,
if
you're the
allowed to
guest.
talk.
You're the guest. You're
Letty,
the
Letty, he
Tommy-
doesn't have the balls
I'm
to
here-
fucking
No.
chastise
You'll
you.
just shush me.
No,
He
I'm
doesn't
here-
have the balls.
I'm here
Yeah.
to
No.
promote. I'm here to promote
Will
our
he
guest.
shush-
I'm here to promote
And
our
I-
guest. Okay.
Here's what happens. A few years back, my wife is in the fashion business, so I retired. As you said, years back, and she always had a vision of, what, taking into consideration what you did for a living, all the tactical and all the Velcro I heard at 3:00 in the morning. Let's put together a tactical clothing line. So here comes COVID. She had a year to. I mean, she's got a full-time job. God bless her, but she had a year to convince me. Let's do this thing. So this fall, our collection's coming out. Tactical pants, different colors, shirts, hats, belts, boots, you name it, we got it. Our website right now is the letter O, Dark 30. That's ODARK and the number 30.com. I put a couple of shirts up there, a few hoodies, just to get a little brand recognition. So you want to go on that website, take a look. We'll see. It's exciting. It's
Nice.
different for me. I mean, I'm retired, Tommy. I'm supposed to be on a golf course in South Florida.
Yeah,
That
me
didn't
too.
work out too
Me
well.
too. Me too, Lenny. I'm supposed to be playing golf too. I'm in Patterson, New Jersey, getting shot at on the drive into the fucking show.
For anybody looking,
Shushing me.
O Dark 30. For anybody looking for the website, we put it in the comments.
I cannot play golf. I mean, to use the words of a good friend of mine, he went golfing one day. He said, the only two good balls I hit all day is when I stepped on a rake. So I'm with him. But anyhow, so yeah, we're launching this tactical clothing line. Like I said, the fall collection will be out August, September timeline. Website's up and running, and take a look at it. We just got some shirts and hoodies and things out there now just to get a little brand recognition, and we'll see how it takes off. We're excited about it. I mean, I've talked to folks around the country on all my contacts, and some of the retired people that I work with are going to jump on board on the sales side and see what we can do with local police departments, firemen, first responders, Ram truck drivers. It's tactical gear, but it's for everybody. So,
and you guys also provide donations to charities that support military?
Correct. That's correct. We're
Nice.
correct. A
Awesome.
percentage of our proceeds are going to, like, the Wounded Warriors, the U.S. Marshals Survivors Benefit Fund, the Federal Enforcement Homeland Security Foundation. So I'm a big proponent of that stuff, and our proceeds, a good percentage of them are going to go their way as well.
That's
Love
awesome.
helping out people in need. Absolutely.
ODOC30.com. The first digit is the letter O, ODOC30.com. One last thing I want to touch on, and obviously I know it's near and dear to your heart. And, we have the New York City Police Department Museum here that hasn't been open since Sandy. It was a great building. It's a beautiful restored building in downtown Manhattan on the east side that has not been reopened since Sandy. And I wish somebody would be able to get on board with this and get that building back open. But apparently there's a U.S. Marshal Museum that's in the works. Is that we spoke a little bit about that yesterday? What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, they finally broke ground in Fort Smith, Arkansas, a year and a half ago. They're getting ready to open their doors. It's somewhat open now, but they got another 2 wings. I think they're still building, and this place is phenomenal. I mean, think about it. The oldest federal law enforcement agency in this country, the storied agency that it is, from Bass Reeves to Wyatt Earp to whoever. Fast forward and what we're doing nowadays, I mean, it's spectacular. I sit on the board at the museum, and I'm very excited. I've yet to go out there, but I'm taking a trip here in a couple of months, and I'm excited to see it. So yeah, the U.S. Marshals Museum is getting ready to cut the ribbon here in the next several months, and it's going to be exciting. I mean,
Well, you mentioned those names. Bass Reeves, first. I think he was the first black U.S. Marshal east of the Mississippi. Storied Marshal. I mean, this. I think. I forget. Correct me if I'm wrong. We talked about him a couple months ago. I believe he was. I thought he was a slave at one point, and then he got out of his slave encampment by he was in the Civil War, and he actually punched his owner in the face over like a card game, and then he took off because they were going to hang him. And he lived for like 11 or 12 years in the Indian colonies, and he became this the Indian tracker. Like, he would go into these territories. I think at some point he arrested his own son. Badass as it gets. As badass as it gets. You hear about Wyatt Earp, about dude, Bass Reeves? Oh man. And honestly, the fact that he was a black man in that era and didn't give two shits. He went out there. He had, I think he said he had over like 15 or 1,600 arrests. The guy was an animal. He was an animal. Guys like Wyatt Earp are, they're celebrated in movies and TV shows, and everyone knows that name. Dude, Bass Reeves, look him up. Do a little Google research. Do some Wikipedia. That
Google
guy was
is your friend.
That guy is the real deal, man. I really hope that they do a nice spread on him, and I'm sure they will.
They already have. Yeah, you did your homework, Tommy. Yeah, he's a legend, and I'm excited just to get there and see what they've got. But if they have a website, they have a Facebook page, the U.S. Marshals Museum, and take a look. It's phenomenal. I'm excited about it.
That's awesome.
The history behind the Marshal Service, and 1789 till today. The men and women that are part of this agency. And again, there's only 4,000 actual U.S. Marshals in this country, as opposed to FBI with 25,000 agents. We're the redheaded stepchild in the Department of Justice. But we're doing God's work, and as George Orwell once said, people sleep peaceably in their beds at night because rough men stand ready to do violence on their behalf. Well, these are the men and women that are downrange every day in God's work, that's for sure.
Well, that's coming back, and we often say that to right the ship here in this country, we're going to have really good people do some really bad things, and not
Yep.
bad as in it's illegal. Like I said, because law enforcement's not pretty.
Bad,
It's
bad,
not pretty.
bad as in things that
Need to get
people
done
aren't willing to do.
or recognize.
Yeah.
Like I said, you need me on that wall, right?
Yeah.
You need us on that
Yep.
wall.
Yep.
Until we get that support, you know what? We do need you on that wall.
Yeah.
We're gonna have a little. The ship's gonna be rocking a little bit, but I think it's gonna come back. Lenny, we're going to take a break. We've been on this for an hour and 20. We'd totally invite you to stick around for the rest of the show. We're going to do a little more other law enforcement stuff. If you want to hang out and be part of what we're doing, that's great. If you want to put the kids to bed and go have a glass of wine, that's great too. You're the guest. Whatever you want to do, we're really appreciative of your time. We know how busy you are, and this was such a great episode. I thank you so much for coming on and just talking to our viewers and letting them know who you are.
Right.
This is
Thank
good
you
stuff.
guys. I mean, it's an honor to be here, and I wish I could have been in the studio with you, especially seeing that smoke going across the street.
What smoke? I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, exactly. But no, seriously, all kidding aside, I appreciate you even thinking about me, and it was an honor to be here. So hopefully we have some good conversation and you get some positive feedback.
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to see you,
Thank
Doug.
you,
I'm going to see you
so
in
much.
June. I don't know if our friend is listening or he even knows about that event. But I texted Rodney that I'll see him in June. I'll see you
are
in
we
June
invited,
as well.
Tommy?
No, sorry.
Lenny,
I'll be there.
Sorry.
Yes,
Yeah.
Al, you're invited. Everybody's
Thank
invited.
you so much, Lenny. Thank you.
All right, Lenny. Nice meeting you. Take care.
All right, guys. We're gonna. Josh is gonna keep putting signs next to my head. Guys, we're gonna take a break for what, 7 minutes. We're gonna do a double. Lenny, again, thank you so much. Stay safe.
Tommy.
Can't thank you enough for your service,
Thanks
brother.
so much, Lenny.
Pleasure. You're welcome, and thanks again. I'll see you soon, Tommy.
Absolutely,
Thank you.
brother.
Take care.
Thank you, brother.
Well, guys. Bye-bye.
If you are searching for a doctor that truly cares about your overall health and well-being, contact Dr. Alex at Tri-State Health and Wellness. For more than 11 years, Dr. Alex has been treating law enforcement professionals and their families while focusing on one-on-one care so you never feel rushed. All necessary testing can be conducted during your visit, and they feature flexible hours and appointments to accommodate alternating work schedules. Tri-State Health and Wellness is conveniently located in Fair Lawn, New Jersey. Contact Dr. Alex today by visiting www.bluetristate.com. Mortgages for everyday heroes. From Michelle Hendershot and Homebridge Financial Services. If you're looking to purchase a home or refinance an existing mortgage, Michelle Hendershot can assist you every step of the way. With over 10 years of experience assisting law enforcement officers with their dream of owning a home, the choice is simple. Contact Michelle Hendershot today. Visit www.mortgagesforblue.com. Are you tired of sleeping alone each night? Feeling sluggish during the day? Is your snoring keeping your spouse awake at night? If you find yourself spending too much time on the couch, maybe it's time to visit Dr. Michael Doblin of At Home Sleep Solutions. Dr. Doblin is the preferred sleep apnea doctor of New Jersey's law enforcement officers. With the help of a custom-fitted oral device, you can finally say goodbye to noisy, antiquated sleep apnea machines. For more information and to schedule an appointment today, contact Dr. Michael Doblin. Visit www.bluesnore.com. Moment of Silence, Inc., along with Blue Suicide, is a nonprofit organization founded to support and raise awareness about the epidemic of suicides amongst law enforcement, military personnel, and first responders. For more information on how you can help, visit momentofsilenceinc.org. If you're in the market for a new vehicle or a certified used vehicle, then visit Fetty Auto Group, located at the junction of Route 46 and Route 3 in Clifton, New Jersey. Fetty Auto Group stands shoulder to shoulder with the men and women in blue. Stop by and ask for Troy Mall and ask about the offers for first responders. For more information, visit FettyAuto.com. That's FettyAuto.com. The Blue Magazine, the law enforcement publication by law enforcement professionals for the men and women of law enforcement. The unfiltered voice of law enforcement. TheBlueMagazine.com. Are you patrolling with the pig? If not, you're doing it wrong. Check out all the newest swine swag at proudpig.blue. They are dirty by design. Check it out now. Visit www.proudpig.blue for all your swine swag. Visit www.proudpig.blue. Resumes by Joe. Owned and operated by retired NYPD second grade detective Joe Federa. With over 20 years of professional resume writing experience and focusing on translating what we do as cops into language that the corporate world can appreciate. We put an emphasis on ensuring that your cover letter and resume will be best received by the applicant tracking system used by most companies today. Check out our website at www.resumesbyjoe.com or call Joe directly at 347-992-4523. Don't forget to ask about the 50% discount for BBO members and most unions across the country. Give us the job of helping you get the job. Contact Resumes by Joe today. If you're a member of the law enforcement profession and are looking to establish long-lasting business relationships with businesses that are blue friendly, it's time to visit visitblue.com. Visitblue.com features some of the best doctors, lawyers, realtors, as well as other service providers such as home improvement and financial services. If you are looking for reliable, trustworthy service providers, visit visitblue.com. That's www.visitblue.com. Founded in 2014 by retired NYPD police officer Michael Burke, Brothers Before Others is a national 501c3 law enforcement charity comprised solely of both sworn and retired police officers. Since their inception, Brothers Before Others has sent floral arrangements to the services of all line-of-duty deaths regardless of where in the country they occur, having spent over $350,000 to date. While the National Flower Fund remains their cornerstone, their benevolence has since grown well beyond that, even into the civilian world. For more information on how to get involved or to donate, visit brothersbeforeothers.org, or you can visit their public forums on all social media platforms by searching Brothers Before Others. Founded in 2016 by professional musician Neil Giraldo, 3-Chord Bourbon has developed a process that is defined as the perfectly tuned taste, blending carefully selected whiskey bourbon and rye whiskey stocks from Kentucky, Tennessee, and Indiana. Designed to be enjoyed with friends and family, 3-Chord Bourbon will leave you with the same feeling you experience after hearing that perfect song. You'll know their whiskeys are right from the very first sip. For more information on 3-Chord Bourbon and available merchandise, visit 3chordbourbon.com. Line of Duty Cigars, owned and operated by retired NYPD Detective Tom Werther. Visit lineofdutycigars.com for our handmade Nicaraguan cigars, custom ashtrays, custom humidors, and custom flask sets. Also, when you place an order, you choose the law enforcement, first responder, or veteran charity, and Line of Duty Cigars donates 10% to that organization. Planning a special event? Contact us today. Visit www.lineofdutycigars.com. And now, back to the Blue Room Podcast on the BlueBroadcastNetwork.com.
All right, guys, we are back. Lenny DePaul, fucking monster, man. Lifetime of service to this country. Did God's work. You know, we used to talk about that back in the day when I was a cop in Queens and didn't leave my car, Josh. Where I had a sergeant, his name was Paul Pizzuta, who's still on the job. He works in Intel. And he'd always say, "We're doing God's work, bro. We're doing God's work." And yeah, it was fucking God's work. I don't know where you guys are watching this show, but you should be watching it on Facebook at the Blue Broadcast Network, BBN, Blue Broadcast Network.
Boy?
Blue Broadcast Network.
Amen.
Like we said earlier, we're trying to get all the viewers to all the shows on BBN into one platform, so that we don't have to post it in 6 different places. So we need you guys to join up there on the BBN Blue Broadcast Network on Facebook, and watch what we're doing. So I personally had another banner week on Facebook. Unfortunately, there are a lot of people in these cop groups that just want to divide us. They want to make it black and white. It's not always black and white, and I think most officers would say it's not black and white. There are some people that that perpetuate that. I like calling them out on it. I get muted. Some guys just leave the group. I will not leave the group. This is a bunch of retired NYPD guys. I get numerous PMs saying, "Hey man, I love what you're doing," and my answer to that is, be vocal. Be vocal like I'm vocal. I get silenced. I've been silenced maybe 3 times now. The one I'm on right now is around 3. It's over 2 days, so I guess I have a 3-day mute. But I have no problems calling out these clowns on their racist bullshit. And there's racism on both sides of it, but we can't divide. Mainstream media, politicians are trying to divide us. We don't need our own people dividing us.
Fair
What's
lawn.
right is right. And
Fair lawn.
We'll get the fair lawn. All right.
Fair lawn.
We'll get the fair lawn. So the latest one I want to talk about was Buffalo PD. Do you guys aware what happened in Buffalo Police Department? Her name is Carrie Horn. She was fired in 2008 for an incident in 2006. So what happened was there was an officer that was arresting a young man, and then while the man was cuffed, hands behind his back, he tried to grab the cop's gun. And the cop's initial reaction was to grab the guy and kind of throw him down on the ground. So while he's fighting with a cuffed perp, now by the way, just because a perp is cuffed doesn't mean they're not a threat.
Correct.
So he's fighting with the cuffed perp. And Officer Carrie Horn, she got involved. And she told the officer that was there to stop hitting him, leave him alone. And then she struck. She's in uniform, she struck a uniformed officer to get him to stop.
Look at T's
fighting,
face.
to stop fighting with the suspect. So so what happened was the cop that she struck turned around and he punched her in the middle of all this.
I'm gonna leave now.
No, you can stay. You can stay. So here's the thing. So she got fired. She got fired for intervening in a police action as a uniformed officer. In her multiple lawsuits up until now, she never mentioned that. She never claimed to have been fired based on her race or her gender. And there's one group of retired NYPD guys. There are some that will just perpetuate the racial hate and divide, and they kept bringing up the race and the gender. And I just simply said, nowhere in that lawsuit, or even in the story, was it mentioned that she was fired based on a race and a gender. After the George Floyd incident, she filed yet another civil lawsuit, and she won that. And in that lawsuit, she claimed that she was fired based on race and gender. Never before that. 14 years, never mentioned it before. So all I simply said was, why are you making this about race and gender? She was fired for one reason, and even the victim, well, say the subject, which would be Officer Horn, never claimed race or gender, which, by the way, would have been a very easy out, right? You could have easily said, well, I could have pulled the race card, could have pulled the vagina card, whatever you want to call it. She never claimed that.
Did he just say the vagina card?
Yeah,
he did that.
The V card. She never claimed that. You know who claimed that? These folks in this racially divided group. And I called them out on it. And I was muted for it, and it went back and forth, and it got heated. I just don't understand why cops feel the need to make a mountain out of a molehill. She wound up suing again, and she won. And she got a back pay. And I'm thrilled for that. Anytime a cop, look, whatever she did that day, she wasn't ripping drug dealers. She got involved because she thought that another officer was being too aggressive with someone else. All right. Now, whether she's right, wrong, or indifferent, the fact that she won her back pay, I'm thrilled for that. I don't know all the details of it. All I can tell you is what I read in the affidavits. She was not fired based on the affidavits from the Buffalo Police Department and from her own lawyers. No one ever claims she was fired for her race or her gender. Why are we making it about that? I'm thrilled that she got her money back. I really am. She's been an activist. She was a protester when in Buffalo when last year the officers pushed the 75-year-old man down. She was an activist for that. She wanted those cops fired. They weren't fired. It was adjudicated. Indemnified, because they had video of that same guy earlier trying to incite different pods of people before the actual protest happened. The guy was a bag of shit. He fell down. He got pushed down. He was bleeding. They didn't give him care. Fuck you.
That's his career.
That's what he does.
That's what he does.
So to make this happen. Hold on one second. To make this happen, we'll get to you, Ron. I'm not ignoring him. To make this happen.
Tommy says, shh.
No, I didn't say shush. I want to get the whole piece out there before we have open discussion. She wasn't fired for her race. She wasn't fired for what's between her legs. She was fired based on her actions on that day in 2006, right? 06, when she intervened with another officer. She punched another officer in the face to stop him from, and she might be right. I don't know. I wasn't there. All I know is that she wasn't fired because she's a female black. So why do we need to make that an issue? And I just called it out for what it was. And it doesn't need to be. It doesn't need to be.
Can I pull the vagina card?
Yes, you can.
The officer that she struck, was he ever charged?
He
or
wasn't
disciplined by the department for excessive force or anything like that?
He wasn't charged of discipline on that case, but a few years later, he was actually charged for an assault 10 years before that. For there were a group of young kids, and color. I'll say the color, even though it may or may not be part of it. I don't know. He was a white officer. The 3 or 4 kids that he had arrested were dark skinned, and they wouldn't get in the car. And as he was shoving them in, the heads hit the side of the car on the way in. He actually took a plea on that. He did 4 months. He lost his job, which may or may not be part of what happened in 2006.
So he lost his job because a perp hit their head on the car going in?
No. He actually pled down to this. He was charged with the assault on those kids from an event 10 years earlier. And when they brought it to him, he took a plea. Now, he may have retired with his pension, I don't know, but he took a plea. He did 4 months, and he said, I'm done with that. I paid my dues. But he still says what happened that night with Officer Horn. He says, she assaulted me while I was effecting an arrest, and I defended myself, and I hit her. And it's just...
So he punched her?
Yeah.
Good for him. Good for him.
She punched
Good
him
for
first.
I'm going to knock the fucker out.
Wait, T, this ain't tea time. This ain't tea time.
Hey, give me something. No, is that a high five or is that just...
No, I'm waiting.
It's after 9. No,
He's raising his
seriously,
hand.
I mean, listen. He wasn't disciplined for his actions that day, so she perceived for it to be excessive force. I'm guessing as to why she struck him, correct?
Yes.
Okay, her what she perceived, I'm sure had to do with race as to what she perceived. Because if he wasn't disciplined for excessive force in reference to that incident, then she's wrong off the bat. First and foremost.
Well, Buffalo Police
But
Department.
for 14 years, it wasn't an issue?
No, when this happened, she was.
That's my second point I'm going to.
She was offered. Her department offered her more training on how to behave on a scene with other officers, and she would have taken a short suspension, and then she would have been back on the job. She said no. She fought it, and they said fine. Then the alternative is that you're getting terminated.
So now I'm going to pull the
and
vagina
then,
card.
and then she sued for
that incident. So then she pulled the race card.
No,
The vagina
she
card.
Did, she did. No, I'm not saying that she pulled the race
Does the
card.
vagina
I
card
didn't
trump
say
the race
that.
card?
All I can say is that she was offered the opportunity to get more training and take
I
a short
understand
suspension, and then she said no. She got
was
fired.
fired.
So she sued multiple times over the 14 years, and then it got thrown out and thrown out.
What was the
and
basis for her lawsuits all those times?
that she felt that she was being fired for going against the blue wall, for going against other cops. She never mentioned race. She never mentioned gender. When after the George Floyd incident, she got new lawyers, and then she presented a new case. And actually, that judge said, "I'm ruling on this based on events that are going on now." What he said was, if what you're saying was true 14 years ago, and now we're seeing it now, it was probably true then, and we're giving you all your money, which is fine. I love the fact that a cop
so
won.
what we said earlier, what I've always said, and what we said earlier is that racism sells, makes money, generates dollars. Correct?
Yeah.
Josh,
100%.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
100%.
No, you're right.
I just,
Now, if she would have been fired for that, if her original complaint was, I was fired because I was a female black against a male white, I have no problem with that. But that never came into play until last year. That's when it came into play, when the lawyer said, oh, we have something here.
She didn't know she had a vagina before
Joshua,
that?
yes, Joshua.
Oh, 5 minutes to the gentleman from New Jersey. Thank
6
you.
minutes, Dougie Fresh.
Only 5 minutes.
Only 60 seconds, now go.
Tommy
So-
has been...
219 Blue
so-
Room. 219 Blue Room, guys.
Why is it a black and white issue? Glad you asked that
I
question.
was thinking the same thing.
Glad you asked.
Can someone answer that question, please?
The people that we are trusting to run our local government, our state government, our federal government, they are creating that. We believe it was Saturday, but her husband seemed to take exception to that and say that it was Friday, as though it changes the bias in her statement. But the wife, Linda Lamadrid Peluso, the wife of the
Twat waffle.
the wife of the Fair Lawn, New Jersey mayor, Kurt Peluso.
So we're just gonna skip this piece and go right
Yeah,
to
We
we're,
are.
we're,
We're
getting-
gonna-
we're,
it's a
we're,
ha-
getting,
it's
we're
a
getting
segue.
I'm
we're getting
just-
right into that.
that was not a
'cause-
segue.
No, we're getting right into that. Yeah, no, I don't do
Are you
transit.
shushing me again, Tommy?
I don't do transitional material.
Let me get to the part where I have my notes.
Go ahead.
on.
Again,
Go
that's
ahead.
a shush. So shush.
no, it's not
Josh.
shush. Go.
Tommy doesn't
Fair-
like.
Well,
Fair Lawn, New Jersey.
it fit because this shows you the nonsense. I don't care if she said it on the day of Marianne Color's line of duty death anniversary, or the eve, or the day after. I don't give a fuck what the timing was.
Semantics, bro. Semantics.
Correct.
Potato,
wi-
potato.
His wife.
Correct.
His wife. Keep in mind that her sister is an Asbury police
Can you
officer.
explain who she is first of all? Can you give the backstory really quickly before Tommy?
He, no, he
shushes
can.
You again?
He's.
Before Tommy shushes you?
I'll allow this.
I mean, what more do you need to know? Than she's the.
You don't need to be rude to me. The audience may not know the backstory.
That she's
Josh.
married to the mayor
That
of
she-
Fair Lawn. Her sister's
Don't
a
get
cop in
nasty with
Asbury.
me. The audience may not know the backstory as
she's
to what
she's
you discussed.
she's married
to whom?
to the mayor
How
of
is it
Fair
relevant?
Lawn, New Jersey.
Holly, Holly, you want to sit here? We'll switch seats. I'm happy to sit over there.
Oh, I'm so sorry that I spoke for 12 seconds during your.
T, can you
2-hour
can
rant.
you throw a drink on her to show
on
her?
on what we
Has to be
believe
bourbon.
to be the anniversary of Marianne Calora's line of duty death. Marianne was Fair Lawn's not just first female police officer, she was their only line of duty death and their first line of duty death. On the 18th anniversary of her line of duty death, the wife of the mayor chose
that
to
town.
put a few posts up on her Facebook story, one of which said, before they were racist adults with guns and badges.
Because I'm a racist.
Before they were racist adults with guns and badges. With all due respect, yeah, I'm trying to find my center. With all due respect, who the fuck is they? So we're clear on this, especially when you consider that her sister is a police officer in Asbury, New Jersey.
My God.
Who the fuck is they?
Her sister, apparently.
Everyone other than her
Well,
sister.
everyone except her sister.
Everyone except her
'Cause her
sister.
sister's woke.
Her
Her
sister's
sister's
okay
woke.
because she's
Her-
woke.
Her
Right.
sister works
her
with Black
sis-
Lives Matter.
Right,
Yeah.
right,
She's
right.
woke. She's woke.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
As you know, as far as we know,
Fuck her too.
as far as we know, again, you know, we can only go off the information that we're given, which has been documented by pictures with news publications. Her sister actually marched with a Black Lives Matters march in full uniform. The same Black Lives Matters that is responsible firsthand for violence and vitriol against police officers. You know, the chance for dead cops, the chance for, you know, pigs in a blanket, fry them like bacon.
I like pigs in my
Yeah, I can tell by your stomach. Her sister. So when, you know, again, like I said, you know, this is the thing. Like, who is the they that she is referring to? Because again, she, obviously she's referring to police officers. Last time I checked, I work with men, women of all different races,
Some children.
all different religions, all different, obviously men and women, all different genders. Who the fuck is they? And it's funny because the only response that the mayor chose, because the mayor did, to his credit, chose to give a robo response because anybody that reached out to him got the same response.
I saw that.
Blocked.
Well, after they got blocked. First they got blocked,
Can you
and
do
then
that as a public servant? Block people?
Their personal page, yes.
it's their personal
Their personal
page.
page,
yeah, I
yes.
think
Okay, so as an
think
elected
he-
official?
Well, apparently
think he
the
gets
personal
that
page,
off.
yeah.
If you don't like the conversation, you can block people. Okay.
Well, no, I mean, yeah, no. Listen, it's
Interesting.
his personal page. You know, he in his robo response, the only thing he really took exception to was not so much the bias of his wife's statements, was more the timing. He's like, oh well, that wasn't on Marianne's anniversary death, or the anniversary of her line of duty death. That was on the eve. Okay, guy. I mean, I guess you got me. So, what the fuck do you got to say about what your wife said? Oh, probably nothing, because if you check the history on this guy, you know, he seems to think he's got this great relationship with his police officers. If you go a little bit backwards,
I don't think so.
Did like 9/11? Didn't he like tell the guys not to wear
9/11
the blue line,
last-
blue line
in-
masks last year?
I was just going to pull the vagina card and ask the question and interrupt Tommy, but since you brought it up,
Do not pull your vagina, please.
in 2020, yes, him and the borough council, who are also equally as cowardly, politicized the thin blue line and instructed the chief again on not. You would think to yourself, all right, what could this piece of shit do that's worse than disrespecting the line of duty death anniversary of the first female police officer of their police department, the only line of duty death they have? What could be worse than disrespecting that anniversary? Hold my beer. 2020.
19. It was last year, wasn't it?
No, it was 2020.
Was it 20?
2020, yep.
Okay.
Sorry, Holly.
Sorry, Tommy.
Oh, the two of you gonna make up? That's sweet.
No, I'm not. I can't stand him. Go ahead.
The on the anniversary of 9/11, right? I mean, the single worst terrorist attack on U.S. soil, single worst loss of civil servant life, police officer, fire. This pro cop, this, you know, politician who has so much love for law enforcement, decided to politicize the thin blue line, and through his borough council and all that, borough manager, I'm sorry, decided to order the chief to tell the Fair Lawn cops who were wearing thin blue line face masks to remove their thin blue line masks because that was a political statement. Let me explain
On
something.
9/11.
Let me explain
9/11.
on 9/11. Let me explain something for those who may.
I just want to meet this guy in person.
Let me explain something for those who may be misinformed or all confused or whatever.
But he's got security.
There is nothing. There is nothing, and if there is, please, I invite you to prove me wrong. Tommy's giving you the phone number. You have the website. Put comments on it. Send me messages. Whatever you want to do.
219 Blue Room.
There is nothing historical, statistical, anything that associates the thin blue line with anything political or racist. You may be able to bring up individuals. You can find an individual that carried any kind of symbol while in the act of a crime. Pick a symbol. I don't give a fuck what it is. You could find a case, an incident in the history of the United States where an individual carried something, whatever it is that you choose, in the act of a crime. It doesn't mean that that symbol all of a sudden symbolizes whatever the fuck that ideology of an individual is there is nothing that associates the thin blue line since the 1950s when it was made popular by the Los Angeles police chief.
What does the blue line represent, Josh?
It represents the line between chaos and order. It represents the sacrifices made by law enforcement. It has never represented anything other than that. Any other representations in somebody's minds than that is based solely on emotion.
It's
now,
like we use the term the line in the sand.
Now,
here's the line in the sand that we won't allow it to go past. Like the blue line is the line. Like we allow all this shit. Then at some point we have to stop it, and the blue line is what stops it. Like like Obama said, the line in the sand.
Right.
Now
This
you
is the
know
line in
you
the
know
sand.
you know what is you know what is a racist symbol?
A white hood.
Wait,
What's the racist
obviously.
symbol, Joshua?
Glad you asked, Holly. Thank you.
Happy to ask the question as well.
Thank you.
Did you guys work on that earlier?
Yes. The black
When you
raised
threw
the
the
black
drink
raised
on there.
fist.
Yes.
That is a documented
BLA.
racist symbol, a symbol that was used historically to represent the Black Liberation Army.
I
Which-
sat with those
which
prisoners
assassinated-
in 1982.
which
Thank you very much. Yes.
Assassinated.
You said
Cops.
1882? I swear to God, I heard you say 18. Wait, sorry. When you said 18, I'm like, what?
No,
which
84.
which assassinated police officers, including New Jersey Trooper Warner Forrester.
Yep.
Wow.
Assassinated police. I don't have to prove. Google is your friend. Look it up.
Listen, it's become
That is and for some reason, that is okay. But the thin blue line, which other than emotion, you can't associate anything racist or biased to, that's suddenly a bad thing.
We need Forrest Gump.
So
he punched that guy
so,
out in the
so
meeting.
again, my question, I mean, that was a long way of getting her. My question
No shit.
to Linda is, who the fuck are the racists that she's referring to? Because the police officers that I know are all different kinds of races.
Races.
Races. That's what I said. Are all different kinds of races, all different kinds of genders. So,
oh wait, Ronald.
There's only two genders.
Ronald.
Yeah, there's only two genders, bro.
Ronald. T's head's gonna explode.
I'm sorry, 'cause I get like Josh in that aspect. Earlier,
I yield to the gentleman from New Jersey.
Keep it short. He only wanted 5 minutes. He got 12.
Listen, I just want to say that earlier today, I'm flipping through the channels and I run through that talk show, Girl Talk, which is. And listen, I gotta say
your favorite show.
No, I gotta say what it is. It's apparently an all black female talk show. Obviously, the topic of conversation was George Floyd, and was mentioned there several times was treatment of black males in America, mask and guns. I want to touch on those real quick. The things that I heard them say was that the police have to be better in the treatment of black males in America. And I'm sitting here and I'm watching this, and I'm ready to kick my fucking television off the fucking shit. Because I'm like you fucking cunt. I'm sorry, I'm gonna say you fucking cunt.
Listen, if you're gonna wait, hold on.
If
you're gonna break your television, good news. There's probably going to be a riot at some point in time.
And I'm gonna go get me one. I'm gonna go get
I'm gonna treat yourself.
I'll go with you.
And some new sneakers too.
Yeah, me too, man.
But here's my point. You have all these people in politicians in Hollywood, everywhere, that believe, whether through self-initiation, through what they read, what they've experienced, that believe.
Most of it's not from experience.
Of course not.
Social media shit.
Of course not.
Social media shit getting shoved down their throat.
Of course not. That believe that police are the problem in this country as it pertains. I'm going to use what they say, black men. Okay, let's look at the past incidents that have happened George Floyd, Dwayne Wright, and others. I can't remember the other ones off the top of my head.
Toledo, yeah.
Toledo. Okay. When you don't resist, you don't have a problem. I, as a brown, and I said it the other day, we talked about it. I, as a brown person, before I became the police, I got stopped by the police a few times. I sat in the back of a few police cars in my day. Okay, and guess what? My ass never got kicked. Guess what? I never got shot. I never got beat. You know why?
Me neither.
Because when they told me to sit on the fucking ground, I sat on the ground. When they told me to put my hands behind my back, I put my fucking hands behind my back. There was never a fucking problem. Okay, so people need to stop fucking. This is the easy way out. This is the easy way to get out. Why? Because if you have to dig in deeper into the problem, okay, they can't explain it, or they want to fix it.
The other way. Hold on, wait. No. The other way is
man from New Jersey.
No. The other way is too much work. The other way is too much work. The other way,
way too much work.
It's way too much work.
Way
and
too much work.
That means you need to get parents involved. You need to get teachers involved, and you just can't do it. Can you keep it under like 18 minutes?
I can keep it under 2.
Can I just say something?
I can keep it. No, it's under a minute. I can keep it under a
vagina
minute.
card. Am I the only one who feels very soothed by Joshua's voice, but at the same time enraged?
I can
Am
keep-
I
I can
alone
keep it-
here?
I don't know about that.
But I want to say this. Listen,
So fuck me then.
here's it's the easiest way. It's easier to blame, and I'm going to say it, the white man in the blue uniform. It's much easier. Although, like you said earlier, this job is made up of so many different nationalities, of so many different people.
Can
Man from New Jersey.
What?
With the cool hat. With the cool
Less
hat.
than a minute. Less than a minute.
With the cool hat.
Less than a minute.
I'm clocking
Can
you.
anybody explain to me why a 13-year-old was on the street? Shh. Can anybody explain to me why a 13-year-old was on the street at 2:30 in the morning with a gun, pulling off rounds with 21-year-olds?
He was raised fucked up by fucked up parents.
I don't know if you know
Guys.
this. Do you know his mother reported him missing 2 days later? His mother reported him missing The mother didn't even know he was missing for 2 fucking days. She reported him missing 2 days later.
Hold on.
After he was fucking
That
dead.
should tell you everything. That
The
she
age.
has-
Raise your hand, Tommy.
I'm not raising
Raise
my
your
fucking
hand.
hand.
This show.
Listen, the age of the perpetrator has nothing to do with
Bullshit.
No,
Bullshit.
Let me tell you
Bullshit.
why. Let me tell you why.
I agree with you.
Go
Let me
ahead.
tell you why.
I agree with you, but they're making it.
The
part
end,
of the equation.
the end result.
I agree with you.
The end result is the behavior of the person that was affected. Whether you're 13
Skull.
or you're 20
Skull.
or 40, it doesn't matter. So you could turn around and say, well, he was 13 and didn't know any better. He was raised wrong. That means nothing. The bottom line was you had a human being letting rounds go. You had a human being that was being chased by the police. You have a human being
At
that
13.
had a gun. I don't care
13-year-old.
about his age. You had a human being that had a gun in his hand.
10 milliseconds.
Milliseconds.
10
before
milliseconds.
he was shot. So
10
what the
milliseconds.
news will show you is that
8.83 milliseconds.
he drops the gun and turn. A cop can't. Your brain function doesn't work.
Absolutely
that.
not.
All you know is that
listen.
you have a gun now, and then you turn to me, and now it's over. So
Is it a good shoot? Is it a good shoot?
Of course it's a good shoot.
All day, every fucking day.
And that's fine.
13-year-old kid that gets fucking shot.
but
That's his
everyone-
motherfucking problem.
but-
I said it before. I'm going to say it again. You a motherfucking gangster. You died doing what you
Everyone-
love, motherfucker.
everyone-
Listen. I said it the other day on the
stole your show.
ABC. On the
He
ABC.
just stole your show.
I'm sorry. I'm not trying to.
everyone that's listening to everyone
fucking break something.
that is listening. Guys, here's the thing. Everyone that's listening to this show agrees with what we're saying. So we can beat this fucking horse for the next hour.
That's
and be till fucking 2 o'clock
that's
in the
actually
morning.
not true.
That is,
Everybody that's listening doesn't.
To this show, they are. Everyone
Not
listening to the show.
necessarily. There's
Mostly.
haters too
mostly.
that tune in.
Mostly.
I went public, so I'm
All I
gonna
can
lie.
say is, all my time having a driver's license, getting pulled over by the police, I never had a bad experience with the police. Never.
You have a driver's license?
We can
Yes.
say we can safely say, Tommy. We can safely say that no police officer ever wants to be involved in an incident where they have to shoot somebody.
Ever.
No less a 13-year-old.
Exactly.
With
yeah.
that being said,
Ever.
With that being said, is that officer supposed to allow himself to be shot
Right.
and
No.
kill?
Nope.
Absolutely not.
No.
Because a 13-year-old wants to be running around the fucking streets with a fucking gun? Fuck you.
Yes.
You're a piece of shit. You're a gang member. You fucking die doing what you love to do, bro. So fucking suck a dick. And your mother took 2 days to report you missing? Your mother took 2 fucking days to report you missing? Your mother's a fucking piece of shit too, bro.
I agree, bro.
Shit.
I agree too.
I'm sorry. I fucking listen.
Fucked up, racist.
There's no
Lenny,
place I can
guys.
vent and not get fucking put in Facebook fucking jail.
Fucked up upbringing.
Bring it
That's all
down.
it is. That's all it is.
Bring it down. Bring it down.
Lenny, if you're
It,
still on, we
it
love you.
sounds like a bunch of yelling,
get to see you, Lenny.
screaming.
Because
I'm sorry.
it is.
I'm sorry.
I understand, but
I'm sorry, bro.
Okay.
we need to bring it back to where
I'm
we
sorry.
are.
Okay.
I need Josh to reel me in. I need Josh
Well,
to reel me in.
I blame Josh
Mo.
too.
Mo.
So here's some good news. All right, here's some good news.
Yeah, use your notes. I apologize, Tommy.
Can I? Thank you, Joshua. Jacob, whatever your name is. Something with a J. Something with a J. My screen went down here, so let's go back up here so I can see who's listening and who's talking. No, you can put it back on. So check this out. Good news. Good news. Lots of defund this, lots of defund that. Defund, divert. You know where you don't hear this? Florida. You know where you're not hearing this? Florida. No, well,
I wanna go back to work.
No. Check it
I
out.
wanna go back to
Check it out. Ready? Iowa.
What?
Iowa.
What happened?
Field of Dreams, baby. Iowa. They passed in the Senate File 342, also known as Back the Blue Bill. Right? This is a state. This is a state that turned around and said, by a vote of 63 to 30,
Pack your shit.
the bill increases penalties connected to criminal behavior at riots and protests. It also makes it a crime to shine a laser pointer in the face of a cop. Blocking highways and streets will have stiffer penalties.
Florida
the governor
also.
still has to fucking pass it, but it looks good.
Florida signed it yesterday.
Well, Florida's was
Oh
a big
yeah,
one too.
the anti-riot bill.
Florida's full though.
Yeah,
But
yes,
everyone
yes.
knows. Here's the thing: everyone knows about Florida. No one knows about Iowa, right?
Iowa,
Did
let's
anyone?
go.
Iowa.
Hey,
So
couple of New
Florida's-
Jerseyans in Iowa. Let's go.
Back it up. Get the
Doing,
U-Haul.
Florida's
I'm out.
doing what everyone thinks DeSantis
Wrap it up.
should do, and now you have Iowa coming on board. Little sleepy little corn Iowa saying, "Yeah, we get it. It's fucking wrong. We want to protect our citizens. We want to protect our business. We want to protect our cops."
Isn't it a job of politicians though to be doing that?
Well,
It's a job, right?
Yeah.
It depends
Elected
on
officials,
It,
correct?
it depends on where you are. In California, in New
No,
York,
it
it's
doesn't
not
depend
their
where you
job.
are. That's the job of politicians.
Well,
anywhere
that's your
you live,
definition.
correct?
That's your
Yeah,
definition.
but don't you agree? That's what the job is.
I
supposed to be?
I think it is.
Okay, your job when you was a police officer was to protect people. My job as a police officer was to protect people, right? Josh's job as a police officer is to protect people.
Mo.
All right. So
Mo.
before we get to the
Mo.
before
Mo's job.
Mo, I mean,
Mo's job.
Mo from Detroit.
before
my
we
bad.
get to the elephant in the room.
Oh boy.
You can hit
Before we get not yet.
Well, the elephant in the room is not going to be.
Holly lost weight, so please don't let's not.
Yay!
Where in her toes? What you do? Cut off a pinky toe? One less
Comment.
marshmallow?
I resemble this comment.
Oh God.
All right, check it
What the
out.
hell are you laughing at?
This
You idiot.
so this could be good. And this is good for a lot of our listeners. This could be good. This could be bad. No, I gotta mute him. I just gotta wait for the cackling to stop.
I'm sorry, Tommy. I'm sorry. We're just trying to take over your show. Hey, Tommy, why don't you give us a plug?
New
Second thought now.
Oh, that's coming. That's coming. Don't worry.
Or Losum.
Snort.
New Jersey governor, your boy, Phil Murphy,
Oh God.
Phil McCracken.
Not him.
signed.
Phil McCracken.
Listen, signed the bill, S1017, aka the Burnout Bill.
Huh?
You know what
Sounds
the
like an
Burnout
STD.
Bill is?
20 now.
Let me tell you about the
20
Burnout
now.
Bill. If you a public safety worker that has reached 20 years of service within the next 2 years can retire with pension regardless of age. So a lot of municipalities have you need to have this plus that, which is years in service plus your age. So currently, to use the early retirement benefit, you need to be 55 years old. There's 7,600 employees that would be eligible for this benefit. But here's the big but. If you take them up on this, you forfeit your post-retirement health benefits.
What?
Yes. Yes.
What?
So what they're saying is,
See, I didn't see that
Yeah,
part.
of course. That's
When
why.
when the FOP was blowing them.
That's why I do what I do, and you sit
Look
here
at
and
you.
yell at me.
I didn't.
The deal is,
Oh, it's just you're rude, Tommy.
I'm not rude.
You're
I
rude,
just-
Tommy.
Some, you
And
know what?
condescending.
You know what? Sometimes a parent has to be a parent.
You
Holly.
are very condescending.
Okay.
No, you're condescending.
Listen,
and
but you
you
know-
have a
and a
little bit of a-
superiority.
All right, Jacob, silence him.
And a little bit of a bitch.
Okay.
You have a
Tommy,
superiority
if
complex.
you was a Spanish parent, you take off your belt and whip her right now.
But then I pull a vagina card and sue you.
If I was Irish, I'd hit it with my flip flop.
Oh, but you know what though? I did my I have my you know what do you-
Vagina checked out.
No, not this year. My DNA, and I have like 1% Hispanic, so I'll pull the race
What?
and Hispanic card.
Stop.
Well,
Yeah.
Torres wants to know if you want 50% Hispanic tonight.
Actually, it's about 5%.
So, guys, check it out.
It's about 5%.
76
That's all I got.
7,600 employees would be eligible for the benefit, but you waive your health benefits. So the people that are against it are saying, why would anyone waive their health benefits? And you know what I say? What I say
What do you
is
say,
if,
Tommy?
I say is that if your spouse is a teacher or a nurse or a firefighter or any other job that actually has those health benefits, why wouldn't you take them up on this? So they're worried about the money.
Well,
What's
what
it going to
about the
cost?
people that don't have that option? There's
Well,
a lot of single people.
then you have to make a decision. Do I want to take my early retirement with a slight decrease in my pension, but I lose my health benefits, or do I want to stay on for this bag of shit until I reach the signed agreement when you get on the job? So if you have a spouse,
But isn't it that some police departments now they pay into their insurance now
before
benefits,
even before we even get to that, is there overtime pensionable?
Right,
as well?
right,
No,
right,
so
right.
or is
they
it
don't,
just their?
they don't actually specifically mention overtime. What they're saying is that if you don't meet the requirements of the time in service and the age, will allow you, if you got your 20 years, it's only a 2-year bill. If you have your time at 20 years in the next 2 years, you can step away, but you
So
give up your health
with all
benefits.
likelihood, their overtime is probably not included.
Why would it not be? If it's going to based on your last 3 years, I don't know what the retirement system is in New Jersey.
That's the whole thing. You
but-
don't know what the
but-
system
Well, I mean, the New York State pension, depending on what tier you
What
are.
tier you are, exactly. So, but here's the thing, though: if you had 17, or you had 18 or 19 years on, and your significant other, your spouse, had the health benefits, why wouldn't you run? Unless, look, if you have a plan, I have to stay on
small
for 30.
percentage of
If
people
you
that
have
have
Is
if
it
you
really?
have a
I
fucking
think
dirty
so.
water dog stand, why wouldn't you fucking run? Get the fuck out of here.
Listen,
Yeah,
Listen,
but
I love
at
this.
at this stage of the game, yeah.
We'll talk about it on tea time, but
Yeah,
I mean, I
tea-
love.
Here's the thing: you could never. They're having a problem. First of all, they're understaffed as it is. They're undermanned. You could never replace those people that leave. You can't even replace the people that left legitimately over the last 5 years.
But you still have to
you know
go
what-
through the
but you know what- but
process
you know what,
of them
Tommy?
sucking wind when people start to complain that they're not feeling protected. When Joe Citizen
Then
starts
they have to
get,
hire more people.
right,
But-
but it's
but-
going to
but-
be part of that cycle.
But you, I'm sorry, but you, but
It's
you
okay.
know,
You don't. Just, Tommy shush me. It's okay. It's fine.
I never
I didn't
should.
shush you. I just talked over you. It's
Yeah,
different.
it's- whatever. It's okay.
But you know, you're finding a hard time to hire people here, cops here.
Yes.
Places like Florida now, not so much. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but
I mean,
Florida's full.
You're gonna have people that are gonna, cops that are gonna want to leave here and go down there. And remember,
Yeah.
I
there's no
told
age-
you. I
there's
told
no-
you. 2022
There's no age limit. in
population of the United States 380
Florida. I saw that.
million.
That shit was funny.
Population of Florida 379 million. Every motherfucker,
Yeah.
every motherfucker is moving to Florida.
and to Iowa.
Listen.
And Iowa and Texas and
listen,
Tennessee.
Yeah, and Tennessee and
Alabama.
But listen, but no one voted for Trump. Make this make sense. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
So
So you don't believe
it's-
Biden won
it's-
fair and square? How shame on you?
I'm not saying that,
That's
but
your
I'm saying that
president. That's your
the
president.
We will end the show on this. This will take
Tommy,
time.
this is Tommy's giant.
LineOfDutyCigars.com. If you're not
Can't-
smoking with Line of Duty, you're doing it wrong.
I cut out a whole bunch of other things we had to do. It was a great show.
Tommy's decided. Tommy's
This
decided.
is the I have decided.
Tommy,
This
listen.
is
Well,
the-
you're
Wow,
welcome to stick
Tommy.
around for tea time, and
This
you
is-
Tommy,
can.
you're being a real bitch tonight.
This is the
I need you to
elephant.
stick around for tea time. I
This
need
is
you.
the elephant in the room.
Oh, here we
Oh,
go.
boy.
All right?
Wait, actually, and listen, wait. Before
Deep
you
breath.
say it, I agree with Tommy on this. Listen, I'm going to say it out loud before he even says it, so everybody's clear. I agree with Tommy on this. He's right. He's right.
Well, I'm going to say, because Josh is my friend and I respect him, that whatever Tommy says, I agree with as well. And I'm going to say he's right,
wait,
too.
you'll.
I third that.
So
You'll hear. Go ahead,
This
Tommy.
is family.
What I have written in my notes, which I work on for 3 days before every single show,
Here we go.
is a little bit different than what we're going to talk about because of the verdict that came down today.
Oh.
Okay? Closing arguments happened. We didn't expect a verdict to come down this soon. I think that whatever the charges were, we know it was murder 2, murder 3, manslaughter 2. There was going to be, and again, and this was, I prepared this segment based on the fact that we would not have a verdict at this point, but we did. And I'll talk about a little bit about the politicians involved, the fact that the jury would, now again, this is not a discussion about guilt or innocent. And honestly, if anybody is going to bring up guilt or innocence, I don't want to fucking hear you. We're not there. We didn't watch that trial every single day. We weren't in that courtroom. We weren't in that street. We weren't there. So as much as I respect your opinions, we have to have our opinions based on what we know. And what we know is what we saw. So if you didn't watch that trial every single day, then your opinion means shit. All right? My opinion means shit. The opinions on Facebook mean shit. But what we do know is that we have people like Maxine Waters coming out there and taking a plane from California and going to Minnesota, right? She's a congressperson in California. Her district is shit. She's not helping her own people. She gets on a plane, she goes to Minnesota, and what does she do? She says, hey, guys, if we don't get the result that we want, then we need to be more vocal. We need to be more, and she didn't use the word violent, but we need to push back.
Confrontational.
We need to be confrontational. We need to be on the street. And that opened the door for a lot of things that are going to come going into the future. But as we know now, they did come down with a verdict today. And guilty for murder 2, guilty for murder 3, guilty for manslaughter 2. And again, this is not a piece about whether we agree with those findings. What I will say is this. I believe in our criminal justice system, okay? Even if I had watched the trial every day and I watched those closing arguments and I listened to the doctors and I listened to the professionals and the experts, it would still be just my opinion based on this. I don't live there, but I didn't watch all that. So all I can say is that I trust our system and I trust that they got it right. If there's going to be an appeal, whatever happens with that appeal, I trust that it's going to be right and it's going to be fair. There are cases that we can talk about, other cases where we thought that was
Casey
right.
Anthony.
That was exactly. That was right. OJ. But in this case, which is a case that has been destroying our country, all I can say is that I trust the system and I trust they got it right. Now, you can argue left, right, and center that the jurists might have been afraid about having their names known and their location. Whatever it is, the system works. Is it perfect? No. Is it flawed? Yes. Is it the best that it can be? No. Is it the best that we can have now? Yes. It's evolving. It's evolving.
Is it the best in the world?
It's certainly the best in the world.
Yes.
Hands down.
Hands down.
Yeah.
Hands down. So
Hands
when you
down.
got guys like, you got people like Waters just going out there to incite. Her only purpose was to incite. And the judge in the case even said to the defense attorney, you're being handed a card. This is a freebie. If this doesn't go the way you want it, this congresswoman from California, who they named specifically, has given you an open door to overturn this based on her comments because the jury wasn't sequestered before closing arguments. They were sent home on Friday. Closing arguments were on Monday. She made her remarks over the weekend. So they got a piece of that.
Shuffles at least had the sense to make his comments today.
whatever it is.
Shuffles is Biden. By the way, in case-
Shuffles.
Shuffles.
This morning, I mean, this
Shuffles
morning.
because he can't.
It's going to it's going to affect it's going to
Shuffles.
affect cases that are in
because he has Alzheimer's.
it's going to
I
affect
apologize.
cases that are existing. It's going to affect
Shuffles.
cases that will come forward.
Shuffles. Shuffles.
She went there and she told people
Shuffles.
to disregard the curfew.
Like this. Shuffles.
She went there and she said, let's disregard the curfew, stay out here. I am going against the curfew to incite." And then she flew back on the taxpayer dollar back to California.
Maxine Sharpton.
So she threw some fuel on the fire in Minnesota, and then she flew back to California.
With police protection.
Of
Yep.
course, armed protection.
There
naturally.
is
Racist armed protection,
there
of
is
course.
money in hate, and there is power in division.
Division.
Yep.
Let me say that again. There is money
Listen.
in hate, and there is power in division.
I believe the
Is
power
it
comes from division.
Al Sharpton. I'm sorry, Reverend Al Sharpton
Fuck that guy.
is nothing
There's a dick here. That's what
without hate.
And
and division.
Without Reverend Al Sharpton is nothing without hate.
And division is where they come to power.
The overwhelming majority of politicians, and I'll say on both sides, the overwhelming majority of politicians that you see out there now are nothing without division. They are creating, facilitating, perpetuating this division because it keeps them elected.
And relevant.
It keeps
Yep.
them popular.
So how is she not going to be held accountable for her words?
She
This-
again,
this- she-
Tommy,
She's on the wrong side.
This has to affect.
this is why he needs to stick around for tea time.
Listen, the appeal's coming. We all know this. Listen, this is going to affect this case some way or another. I said this, and I know you. The jury was guilty across the board for two reasons. Number one, they did not want cities burning on their shoulders. Number two, they were worried about their own safety. Period.
We said this when we were sitting upstairs.
Period.
I said
100%.
those jurors knew if they
Period.
came back with not guilty, they weren't leaving that building without
Correct.
the people burning it down with
That's
them
right.
inside
Correct.
of it.
With them inside of
The
it.
statements
Correct.
have been made for
Listen,
months
listen,
that whether we get a guilty
you're not going to tell
or
me
not guilty,
that,
we're burning
was it
shit
a
down.
3 week trial, right? 3 week trial that you went through 3 weeks worth of information in 10 and a
24
half hours, in less than 10 hours, with no questions to the judge.
Zero.
Zero
Zero.
questions. And you came back guilty on all 3 charges.
Zero.
Which, in my opinion, and opinions are
How
like
do you even
assholes.
legitimize?
Tea time. We're going to talk about that. We're all different charges. You're talking about different intents, but we're all found guilty on all ones.
Straight across the board.
Listen.
100%.
Listen to me. This was a fucking fuck job from the word go. Again, I'm not saying that what Chauvin did was correct. Whatever.
No one's saying that, though. That's not even the conversation.
That's not even the conversation.
Right.
Correct. What I'm saying is that what happened today, people in general, if you're an American citizen, should fear that, because that could be you in your own, in something that you do that is justifiable.
All right, so
100%.
again, so
It's
hold
not
on.
There's no
it's-
logic.
it's-
Okay, there's no
it's-
logic.
And you
It comes back to how much of that did you watch?
Right.
If you watch CNN or you watch Fox and you caught little snippets here and there,
Right.
is it possible that the prosecutor presented such a strong case that that was a legitimate outcome?
That's a really good point, Tommy.
The answer is
point.
yes.
This is why I said I
The-
agree with what
the answer
Tommy's
is
No,
saying.
Tommy's right. Tommy's 100%
certainly
right.
possible.
He's right.
And he's very sexy.
Very
on
sexy.
top
Tommy,
of that.
you're sexy, Tommy. I don't
Not,
really
no,
like you,
not as
but
sexy as Pat Donahue, though.
Listen, Pat Donahue is one of the
he's-
sexiest human beings
disagree.
on this
Isn't it?
planet.
Who is the sexiest, though?
Who is
Dan Hussey?
Dan
Don't you
Hussey.
No,
say
I
it.
don't. I don't.
Oh,
I mean,
hey,
Dan Hussey's an
listen,
attractive guy,
listen.
but-
Dan Hussey has the best hair in all of the NYPD.
Dan Hussey.
And he's
Yeah, but-
retired now, and he still is, bro. I'd hit it. Listen, no disrespect to
Yeah,
his
but
wife.
he doesn't have Tommy's
and I'm not
game.
even gay, but I would hit it. That hair is
Yeah,
so
but
fucking
you,
fine.
you might not
wait,
be
wait,
gay,
wait,
but $20
wait.
is $20.
And listen, I do it for fucking $1 and a fucking bag of chips.
Hold on.
Bro, that's how
Okay,
gay-
so that makes you gay, bro.
I think if
Shut
you.
your mouth. It's you. I'm listening,
What do
I'm
you
listening to you
know?
about talking about gay. You fucking lick a cat's balls, and I'm talking about you. Stop. Stop, bro.
Say
Anyway,
it
let's get back to
two
the subject.
It was a
Same thing.
female cat, though.
That's
It was
what-
a
This is
female
different.
cat.
Tea time.
That's a
Let's save it for
different.
tea
This is a different podcast.
So
Stop it.
yeah, I think the message I really want to get across to the listeners is that we're all passionate about this, but we also all have to agree that the system is the best system
Yeah.
Correct.
that we have.
It is.
and it's evolving. It's
Yes.
getting
Yeah.
better.
Yes.
You know, we can talk about. We talked earlier about the Rodney King incident, and actually Lenny brought it up earlier. If you we were all young kids then. If you watched
Well,
that,
I was actually elderly already at that point.
you were like 40.
Oh, wait, at,
Yeah.
at that point, you're elderly
If you
now.
watch, if you
Oh, no,
watched,
I apologize.
They didn't air. I don't think they aired the trial as much as they do now. But you would look at that video and say, "Oh my God, how did those cops not get convicted based on the video that everyone saw?" Right? Because we were convicting people based on a 3-minute, 4-minute, 5-minute video. Here, it was a 10-second snippet.
Yeah.
And then it turned into the 3-minute. Then it turned into the 9-minute. The system is the system.
And after all this shit
It's
burned
simple
down,
as that.
the first 9 minutes came out, and everybody was like, "Wow, if I had seen that, I might feel a little bit different."
But here's the thing, though. Every juror, by the time they got picked, the only thing they saw for 7 months was that 9-minute video. Their minds were made, I think, their minds were made up. Now, again, that's not the judicial system's fault. Where the judicial system comes into fault is this. They allowed it to take place in that venue, which I think was a problem.
I think that was, I agree.
I think they also, but the fact that they didn't
1000%.
sequester the jury from day one of the trial, which was only, 11 days?
Yeah.
And then 3 days. So it would have been a 2-week sequester. Now, you don't know. That sequester could have been 2 months. The judge doesn't know, and he doesn't want to put people out. I get that. They have lives. We're not going to sequester you during the trial, but once closing arguments are coming. Had they been sequestered from day one, would that have changed? I don't know. All I know is that the route that they took was a fair route, and we'll live with it. And now, if it goes to appeal, and they find a way to retry this, then I'll agree with that result as well. I can't get my nuts twisted about this.
Listen, we have to, as law-abiding,
Correct.
U.S. citizens, we have to. I mean, that's just that.
Yeah.
That's what it is. What's the alternative?
Correct.
Chaos and anarchy, which is what you see from the other side. So that's why I said from the beginning, what he said, whether I agree, disagree, it doesn't make a difference what I think of the verdict. What Tommy's saying is right. We have a process. We have you can disagree with it. You can say that it's flawed. You can say that it could be better. I agree. No matter what side you're on, no matter what case you want to cite, I will agree that our system can be improved. Our system can be better. Is our system the best in the world?
Yes.
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 Listen,
hands down.
listen to me.
Unless you want to start having machete fights in the
Listen
fucking
to me.
streets.
I'm down with that too. I'm down with that too.
Listen to me. I want to say something, and shout out to Junior. Shout out to Junior, one of my best friends. Don't shush me.
That's me shushing
Tommy,
you.
I
I
will
didn't shush you
punch
all night long.
In the face. I will punch you in the face so hard.
I love you,
Stop
Holly.
it. I love you too.
Holly.
When life gets crazy and the world starts spinning on its side, which happens all the time, I default to my friend Junior. My friend Junior is one of my best friends. I consider him in family more than a lot of my blood relatives. He's a Muslim guy from Yemen, and I defer to him often because we've had these conversations. We actually feel differently politically to a large degree. However, we always default to the fact of normalcy, which most people are more the same than we are different. I don't care what anyone says. Most people have the same goals and values and morals to a large degree. Some people think this road's going to get us there, and the other person thinks that road's going to get us there. And when I had this conversation with Junior, who's so thankful every day to be an American citizen, every single day this man wakes up and takes a photograph of the sunrise as he drives to work. And when I talk to him in depth, he would say to me, people are freaking crazy in this country. I'm like, every day I wake up, I'm so grateful to be here. Like, or to see him on social media taking a picture of his cousin from Yemen who took 3-4 years. They're not mad. They're just thankful for the outcome that they went the legal route. And here's him showing up his certificate as a United States citizen because it took him 3-4 years. They're so grateful. And his thing is like, what the hell are you bitching about? Like in my country, they would stone you to death. They would cut your tongue out. What are you crying about? Like, what the hell? It's so basic that it's actually ridiculous that we take the time to piss and moan and whine and to continue to divide ourselves over bullshit because people are monetizing it. They're using it for power. And that's the truth. It's monetized. It's used to divide and to create more power. Because when you divide people into two groups, you can now pick 50% or 60, whatever the percentage
Divide and
is
conquer. Divide and
that
conquer.
agrees with you,
Divide and
and
conquer.
you're going to run the goddamn show because now you don't even own your own thoughts anymore.
Has he ever said to you, "Oh, Holly, I've got this paper. Now I can blow up a building legally"?
You're an
He's never
asshole.
said that?
Never. No. He and his family treat me like a sister. They're the most wonderful, kind, loving people because they get it.
Well, it's a good thing they don't treat you like the goat,
actually
'cause you know what they do.
Because you know what the 18 to 25-year-old assholes who are living in their parents' basement being funded by their parents who have no idea what it is to actually struggle and finance their own stuff and nothing to do but piss and moan and whine about nonsense.
No, Christian was up first.
No, 5 minutes to the man from Mars.
Go ahead, the
Thank
Mars
you.
man.
All of this leads to one thing: a house divided cannot stand.
Correct.
A nation
100%.
divided cannot
Correct.
stand.
100%.
And that's how Rome fell, basically.
You are invited to tea time.
You're coming to tea
But
time.
this is why we need
Based
to
on that
continue to
statement
have
alone, you're
conversations.
coming.
This is why.
Nobody even confirmed seats on
Listen, shut up, Jacob. You're doing
Come on,
Listen to me.
Come on, bro.
At the end of the day,
Every time we mention tea time, Jacob's face is just like, oh,
Jacob
Jesus.
winces.
But Jacob loves us.
But listen, at the end of the day, I don't care what anyone says. We are more the same than we are different. As human beings, we are more the same than we are different. Shut up, Jacob, before I punch you in your
But we
face.
trust the system.
More the same.
We trust the system.
Okay, fine. Do we have to like it? No, but it is
No.
what it is. We have to respect it, or we can go live in another fucking country.
Listen,
right?
Listen. I agree. We have the best.
We may not like it,
system
but it is what it is.
in the world. I totally agree.
And
Does it
how
come
about
with-
get a
does it come
goddamn
with
job
flaws?
if you have that much
Of course
free
it does,
time?
because nothing's perfect. Nothing's perfect.
That's why I said it's
There-
constantly evolving.
Right,
It's always getting
nothing-
better.
Nothing
It's
is
always
perfect.
getting better.
Is it? Would I prefer to live here than anywhere else? Of course I would. Of course I
Right,
would.
right.
We have become a nation, a country of appeasing people.
Yeah.
Because they scream so loud. Okay, when they scream loud and nonsense, we're going to appease them because
The level of your volume
Correct.
does not equate to the level of truth.
2 words.
I-
Gary Vaynerchuk.
Listen, Josh, I agree with you
Google
1,000%.
Gary
but
Vaynerchuk.
Alright, boys, Tommy's got it.
I know that guy.
We
I know
become
him.
fearful.
Gary
we become,
Vaynerchuk is the shit.
we become fearful of people that scream so loud.
Save it for tea time.
Okay,
Tommy's
we'll
got it.
Go ahead, Tommy. Let's go.
BBN, Blue Broadcast Network.
Hallelujah!
Are you guys
Blue Broadcast Network.
Are you guys watching
Blue
this on Blue
Broadcast
So, guys, here's the
Network.
deal. Within the next 3 weeks, you will not be able to watch this show anywhere else except Blue Broadcast Network. That's the goal. That's what we're moving towards. We're trying to simplify this. You need to get on board at Blue Broadcast Network. We made a conscious decision tonight to air it on the Blue Room podcast tonight. Because our guest had, we told him
Yep.
that that's where it was going to be shown, and we've been slowly trying to transition. I don't think we have a guest next week, so we won't have that problem. That's not a problem, that issue. We need you guys to come over to BBN. We need you guys to come over to BBN, Blue Broadcast Network.
We will be on BBN next week.
Yeah, and then you won't, and there'll be links to get to it from the Blue Room podcast. But we need to get everyone over to BBN. We really do. Danny works so hard and has put so much money and blood and sweat and tears to give us this space that we have to get there. We have to get there. And then slowly, folks that can't chime in will find us. So just keep doing what you're doing
So we're gonna be
and
sharing
follow
through
us there.
BBN.
BBN.
Okay.
BBN.
T, tell us why you're back.
Plugs, Christian.
Plug.
Tonight.
All right. Y'all already know my plugin is thebluemagazine.com, the national independent voice of law enforcement. And also I would like to have another plugin of one of our sponsors.
It's just a plug. It's not a plug-in.
It's not a plug-in. A plug-in is like if you charge your phone.
Plug-in
you're
is
gonna
what you put in your
plug
ass.
it into
Right,
the-
right.
Right.
Yeah, you plug your
Right.
ass in.
When you look at your cat's balls.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Oh my gosh.
It's
Why do I
after
come here?
10.
I
Don't
just
fucking
keep
talk about
doing
North Shore
That's good.
Animal
We'll keep-
League.
It's good. We're at 2.5 hours. This is good.
A shout out to Tri-State Health and Wellness.
Attaboy.
Dr. Alex, if you are looking for family family attention and little to no wait time, just go to
If you are looking for
go,
your
go to
family,
bluetristate.com.
If I need attention
for
from
more
my
info.
family,
I have a very fancy Tri-State pen right here.
that's a
Oh,
fly ass.
This is big on my pen of choice. As a cop, I never leave the house without a pen, and this is the pen I've been carrying.
I should get
That's a
one.
hot
I want to
pen.
get one.
It's awesome.
Damn.
It's awesome.
Just
Great.
take Tommy's, bro. Just
Yeah.
take when he's not looking.
Stab
Tommy's
me-
not that
stab me
swift.
this I am that swift.
Tommy's not that
Tri-State,
swift. Just
Fairlawn,
take
New
that
Jersey.
shit. I'll take that
T,
shit.
what do you
Like
got,
my
T?
husband.
What do you got?
As always,
Highline, let's go.
High Drive K9
Highline.
on Facebook. Highline.
I said
Yeah,
highline.
Highline. Let's go down to Miami for that.
I'm down for that.
High Drive K9, bro. Facebook, Instagram. Give us a follow. I also want to give a plug this Sunday, April 25th in Staten Island. 40 Marble.
Ain't nobody
Loop.
going to Staten Island.
I'm gonna throw it
It's the
out
ass
there.
end of
Would
the
you let him
world.
talk? Would you let him talk?
My motorcycle club, Vigilance, which is a
You're in a motorcycle club?
which is a law enforcement motorcycle club made up of all members of the NYPD. I'm the only
Damn.
member that's not an NYPD member.
Damn.
That's in the club, so I'm grateful for that.
I know Vigilance.
We're going to be holding a fundraiser for Revan for Evan, which is autism awareness, this Sunday. From it starts at about 9 a.m. with a motorcycle run, from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. at 40 Marble Loop in Staten Island. We're going to be doing a fundraiser. We're going to have a K9 demo. Yours truly is going to be doing the demonstration.
Chihuahuas.
We're going to be having, we'll have food, we're going to have music, we're going to have a band, we're going to have different events set up for kids. So come on out, support Reverend for Evan, autism awareness, this Sunday the 25th. If there might be a possible rain date on that. I don't know what it is yet. If it is, I'll post it up. But if you're available this Sunday, please come through and support the cause.
Come through.
Holly.
Holla.
I'm going to go with Brothers Before Others and Brothers Before Others Public. Brothers Before Others.
Brothersbeforeothers.org.
.orgasm.
O dark 30. O, the letter O, dark 30.
I'm proud.
They have
Big.
they have one of the most lit T-shirts and hoodies that I've ever seen.
Who does?
That a boy. I'm sure.
Proud Pig?
What
You
lit
talking about
means.
Proud Pig?
No, Zero Dark 30.
No.
Oh, Zero
Oh, Dark 30.
Dark 30.
Oh,
Dark
Dark
30.
30.
Dark.
Christian, you
The letter O,
Nimrod.
dark 30.com.
You know-
I want
you
to
know
thank
Nimrod's a
Lenny.
kid-
I want to thank Lenny for coming on.
Cállate la boca.
Absolutely a law enforcement icon. Yeah.
Lenny's the man.
Speaking to Jimmy from Detroit,
Whoop, whoop, Jimmy.
his exact words when he heard Lenny was coming on, he goes, what time is it? Yeah, we're past. He goes, that motherfucker has drawn down on some bad motherfuckers.
Yes, sir.
Those were his exact words.
Yes, sir.
I want to thank him for his time. dark30.com.
Can I say one more thing before you give your plug? I want to say.
There's 8 viewers left.
That's a statement.
No,
maybe there'll be 2 left.
I want to say this because listen, we talk about it amongst ourselves, and I've said it to you 1,000 times. And listen, I'm going to say this. I caught the last 10, 15 minutes of Lenny DePaul, and I was listening in the in Jacob's room there, and I caught a chubby when Lenny was talking because I remember watching him on Fugitive Manhunters, and he's my hero, and I caught a chubby. But we talk about this all the time, but I have to say this now so everybody can hear, all 8 people. But I don't think nobody gives you credit on the air for the amount of work you put into each and every show.
I agree.
Each and every show.
Tommy.
The background work
The
that
man
you do,
we hate to love.
the research you do. You come in here
Word.
with your 17,000 pages
Yeah.
of information.
Right.
How you do it between your business, your family, And the show is beyond me because I have a hard time juggling breakfast and
we do zero preparation for tea
Yeah,
time.
yeah, we do zero.
It's going to show in 20 minutes.
Yeah, it's going to show in 20
But
minutes.
you know what,
But,
T? You know what, T? I gotta say that as much as I want to disagree with you,
Look at Jacob's
I'm with
face.
you 100%.
Jacob's like,
but
fuck y'all.
you are the motherfucking man. You really are.
Yeah.
I appreciate you. I know
Yeah.
everybody, all the listeners appreciate you. I know that. I think you need to get due props. And I want to
Tommy,
leave a
you
little bit of
condescending
applause for
douche.
you, bro.
Well,
Because I appreciate you, bro.
I'll tell you what.
Tommy!
The
And we need them bullets,
the
bro.
re-
You
the
need them.
reason-
You need that ammo. Tommy's the boy.
I give that credit to Sergeant Johnny Moynihan, NYPD, my boss, way back when, who said if
Is he from the Bronx?
he actually grew up in the Bronx. Yeah, he's a Bronx guy.
Boom.
Basically said, knowledge is power. If you're gonna do something, do it right. And I got that lesson from my dad as well, but it didn't resonate until I became a cop. And basically, it was like, you're gonna do it right. You don't fail. And it's just like interviewing a perp. Right, you interviewing a perp, and when you interview a perp or a suspect or anyone, you don't ask questions that you don't know the answer to, and that's how you get them. You don't ask them a question you don't know the answer to because you don't know where it's going to go. So I try to do as much as I can and make the guest feel like, yeah, well, holy shit, like where'd that come from? It's time, but we couldn't do this without that. You don't want a whole band of merry warriors sitting around Googling questions to ask. There's got to be something, and that's why I think that's why they like coming on, and I think they feel comfortable, and they're like, wow, like that's a good.
Yeah.
It's almost an obligation, right? It's an
Yeah.
obligation. You want them to come back.
Not like Chris hitting Wikipedia 5 minutes before.
No, listen. The other night on Saturday, right? When Mike had on, it was pretty controversial, but he still did what was right. And Tommy, you gave a shout out. You guys went easy.
Cop.
Yeah. TikTok cop. But at the end of the day, the point was made, and I think the point was made because we weren't being rude and inappropriate. It was you still being respectful. That I respect that you have a different opinion than I do, but I want you to hear from T.
Other people, sure.
And Rachel, who was actually shot 5 times, and not really even going into the story, but like, we get you, but have you really thought this out?
Did she get hit in the face or no?
No, but she should have. She should have got hit. She should have got shot in the face.
Line of Duty cigars.
www.proudblue.org.
Oh my god!
Right?
www.proudpig.blue. If you're not
Patrolling with the pig,
you're
doing it wrong.
Johnny, shout out.
I got
to
the BBN
Johnny.
right.
Shout
Johnny
out
Blue.
to Johnny and him and his dishwasher. His dishwasher.
A sandwich maker.
Stop. His dishwasher was involved in a car accident tonight. She's okay.
Oh,
Kids
man.
are okay.
No, stop it.
No,
Are
I
you
swear to
serious
God.
Right
No,
now?
I swear to God.
This
Are you
poor
kidding me?
guy. They have
No,
a
I swear to
freaking
God.
black cloud.
That-
Oh wait, can I say black cloud? Is that
Can
appropriate?
I get to my
Is that
plug or no?
triggered?
No, not yet.
Do you have
The
cigars?
dishwasher was
Are they okay?
it was involved in. Yeah, everybody's okay.
Oh my
She's
God.
okay. Kids are okay. Somebody
Poor
ran a
family.
red
She needs to
light.
get rid of him
and-
already.
Yeah,
He's
that's
bringing her
so.
bad luck.
Yeah, shout out to Johnny.
Johnny, I love you, brother.
Yeah,
We
so
love you, Johnny and family.
go ahead, Tommy. Your plug. There's
The
3
only thing
listeners
you
left.
get, yeah.
The only
there's-
thing, no, I get more than that. www.lineofdutycigars.com. Lineofdutycigars.com. Any event you're showing, if you're doing a golf outing, you're doing a cigar night, you're doing anything to raise money for police, fire, military, hit us up. We'll take care of you, whether it's cigars or ashtrays or custom printed humidors, whatever you need. That's what we do, and you guys will do better on that than we will. We want you guys to be successful in all your events. So www.lineofdutycigars.com, or you can email me at lodcigars@gmail.com and hit me up, and we'll make it nice.
We'll make it nice.
So yeah, but I appreciate the shout out. It's work, and
We
and
love
like I said,
you, Tommy.
we do it right, or you don't do it at all. That's it. And
Tommy, you're the man, bro. Seriously,
I'm
all joking aside,
happy to-
you're
Tommy,
the
you're the man,
I'm happy
You're the
Tommy.
man.
to-
27th.
man.
I feel good.
We can do like
27th.
a group
27th,
hug.
next show on the 27th.
We're gonna do a
Correct.
group hug,
I
right,
think I'm
Josh?
I think I'm out of town that day. Let me check.
You're not out of town.
We
that
don't.
day.
Well, we don't even need you here.
Apparently not.
No.
Chris is taking his spot. Chris is gonna take his spot.
We don't have Jose.
You okay?
Oh, Jose.
Great.
Well, good thing we have you here for tea time.
All right, guys, thanks for chiming in. We're wrapping this up. What are we at?
Biceps are popping.
We're at 2 hours and 36 minutes, a little bit over than we wanted to be. Thanks for sticking around. We'll see you guys next week.
Tommy, we love you, Tommy.
We are out.
Tommy,
Put a bow on that ship.
If you are searching for a doctor that truly cares about your overall health and well-being, contact Dr. Alex at Tri-State Health and Wellness. For more than 11 years, Dr. Alex has been treating law enforcement professionals and their families while focusing on one-on-one care so you never feel rushed. All necessary testing can be conducted during your visit, and they feature flexible hours and appointments to accommodate alternating work schedules. Tri-State Health and Wellness is conveniently located in Fair Lawn, New Jersey. Contact Dr. Alex today by visiting www.bluetristate.com. Mortgages for everyday heroes. From Michelle Hendershot and Homebridge Financial Services. If you're looking to purchase a home or refinance an existing mortgage, Michelle Hendershot can assist you every step of the way. With over 10 years of experience assisting law enforcement officers with their dream of owning a home, the choice is simple. Contact Michelle Hendershot today. Visit www.mortgagesforblue.com. Are you tired of sleeping alone each night? Feeling sluggish during the day? Is your snoring keeping your spouse awake at night? If you find yourself spending too much time on the couch, maybe it's time to visit Dr. Michael Doblin of At Home Sleep Solutions. Dr. Doblin is the preferred sleep apnea doctor of New Jersey's law enforcement officers. With the help of a custom-fitted oral device, you can finally say goodbye to noisy, antiquated sleep apnea machines. For more information and to schedule an appointment today, contact Dr. Michael Doblin. Visit www.bluesnore.com. Moment of Silence, Inc., along with Blue Suicide, is a nonprofit organization founded to support and raise awareness about the epidemic of suicides amongst law enforcement, military personnel, and first responders. For more information on how you can help, visit momentofsilenceinc.org. If you're in the market for a new vehicle or a certified used vehicle, then visit Fetty Auto Group, located at the junction of Route 46 and Route 3 in Clifton, New Jersey. Fetty Auto Group stands shoulder to shoulder with the men and women in blue. Stop by and ask for Troy Mall and ask about the offers for first responders. For more information, visit FettyAuto.com. That's FettyAuto.com. The Blue Magazine, the law enforcement publication by law enforcement professionals for the men and women of law enforcement. The unfiltered voice of law enforcement. TheBlueMagazine.com. Are you patrolling with the pig? If not, you're doing it wrong. Check out all the newest swine swag at ProudPig.blue. They are dirty by design. Check it out now. Visit www.proudpig.blue for all your swine swag. Visit www.proudpig.blue. Resumes by Joe, owned and operated by retired NYPD second grade detective Joe Federa. With over 20 years of professional resume writing experience and focusing on translating what we do as cops into language that the corporate world can appreciate. We put an emphasis on ensuring that your cover letter and resume will be best received by the applicant tracking system used by most companies today. Check out our website at www.resumesbyjoe.com or call Joe directly at 347-992-4523. Don't forget to ask about the 50% discount for BBO members and most unions across the country. Give us the job of helping you get the job. Contact Resumes by Joe today. If you're a member of the law enforcement profession and are looking to establish long-lasting business relationships with businesses that are blue-friendly, it's time to visit visitblue.com. Visitblue.com features some of the best doctors, lawyers, realtors, as well as other service providers, such as home improvement and financial services. If you are looking for reliable, trustworthy service providers, visit visitblue.com. That's www.visitblue.com. Founded in 2014 by retired NYPD police officer Michael Burke, Brothers Before Others is a national 501c3 law enforcement charity comprised solely of both sworn and retired police officers. Since their inception, Brothers Before Others has sent floral arrangements to the services of all line of duty deaths, regardless of where in the country they occur, having spent over $350,000 to date. While the National Flower Fund remains their cornerstone, their benevolence has since grown well beyond that, even into the civilian world. For more information on how to get involved or to donate, visit brothersbeforeothers.org, or you can visit their public forums on all social media platforms by searching Brothers Before Others. Founded in 2016 by professional musician Neil Giraldo, 3-Chord Bourbon has developed a process that is defined as the perfectly tuned taste, blending carefully selected whiskey bourbon and rye whiskey stocks from Kentucky, Tennessee, and Indiana. Designed to be enjoyed with friends and family, 3-Chord Bourbon will leave you with the same feeling you experience after hearing that perfect song. You'll know their whiskeys are right from the very first sip. For more information on 3-Chord Bourbon and available merchandise, visit 3chordbourbon.com. Line of Duty Cigars, owned and operated by retired NYPD Detective Tom Werther. Visit lineofdutycigars.com for our handmade Nicaraguan cigars, custom ashtrays, custom humidors, and custom flask sets. Also, when you place an order, you choose the law enforcement, first responder, or veteran charity, and Line of Duty Cigars donates 10% to that organization. Planning a special event? Contact us today. Visit www.lineofdutycigars.com.